of Nations.
Despite all the plans and schemes, God not only gave us a peaceful election, but in this election we demonstrated as the people of Kenya that we can vote on issues, not tribes. We can vote on an agenda, not mere rhetoric.
Well, Azimio has called a rally on Monday in Nairobi to react to the alleged dossier, a tough-talking President Ruto said he will not allow the country to be held hostage.
I want to promise Kenya that we will not allow our country to be a hostage to threats and blackmail by a few people who are looking for their personal interest. We are going to serve all Kenyans equally, irrespective of how they voted, because we want to move our country to the next level.
Hii mambo ya hii mzee tuachie. Dawa ya hii mtu ni mtoto ya maumau. Wewe kaa kando. Kaa kando. Wewe rais, please, endelea na mambo ya uchumi, utusaidie. Mambo ya Hustlers Fund, utusaidie. Utafute pesa ya kulipa barabara, uniunge mkono na hawa, utusaidie. Mambo ya chai, kahawa, mchele, tusaidie. Mambo ya hii mzee, weka kando.
The head of state maintains he is focused on delivering unity and development to all parts of the country and will not entertain destruction.
Mimi siwezi kuruhusu ati watu wachache waende kona pale, ati watupangie njama ya kututisha, ati wanatupangia sijui maandamano, ati sisi tuwache kushughulikia mahitaji ya wananchi wa Kenya, ati sisi tukuje hapo ati tushughulikie mahitaji yao. Wamezoea hiyo tabia, lakini we are telling them the end has come. There is no more. Ile mulipata kwa vitisho sasa iwatoshe. Wacha sasa tufanyie kazi wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya.
Kama hawakukuweza, walipokunyanyasa, wamekuacha nje, wamedhulumu kila mtu ambaye amekuongelesha, watakuwezaje sasa? Umesonga karibu zaidi na Mungu, alafu uko na serikali. I don't know whether you know there was a meeting in Mombasa ya viongozi kadhaa na wanajijua, and I'll tell you their names. Nao ndio wana finance huyu mzee, na ndo tunataka kuambia hata wao wafanye nini, wakome.
Na kwa hiyo maandamano mimi nitakuombea ruhusa hata kwa rais wetu, ikiwezekana hata serikali ipelekee watu maji pale na hata soda. Wakiandamana wanakunywa kidogo, wanarudi maandamano. Lakini wacha kutishia wa Kenya, my friend.
President Ruto also alleged a scheme by so-called cartels to destabilize his government owing to the reforms he has instituted in the tea, coffee and milk subsectors.
Wapange maandamano kwa wanataka, lakini kwa kahawa na chai na kwa maziwa watatoka.
Rais, na wewe utuchunge tafadhali. Hii watu ni kali, lakini tutangangana. Kama hatukutishwa na watu ya system na deep state na Azimio, hawa watu wanatuweza.
The president noting that the country has enough resources for development and paying off debts, ruling out any tax waivers for individuals and companies.
Well, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has called for unity of purpose among the Luhya community as the Western Kenya region strategizes itself in national politics. Speaking at a funds drive in Lirhembe Friends Church in Ikolomani, Kakamega County, Wetangula urged the leaders and residents to unite and rally behind the kingpin for the region to attract more development in the current and future governments.
National Assembly Speaker further claims the move by the region to unanimously support Kenya Kwanza government will not only attract new development in the region, but also see to it that stalled projects have been completed.
If we want to stand on whichever side, wacha tusimame pamoja. And if we stand together, we will always tilt the scales. Bungoma peke yake ilivyosimama pamoja ndiye aliangusha ratili ya kura. Wakati nimependekezwa na Kenya Kwanza, and if we become our brothers and our sisters keeper, the future will be different. On our own, kama jamii, we cannot produce a leader. But on our own, if we are not united, we shall not be attractive to others. Tukiwa united, then others will see our unity as a sign of attraction.
Sentiments echoed by area MPs led by Sirisi MP John Waluke and Deputy Governor of Kakamega Ayub Savula.
Tunataka tuwe na umoja. Na tumeileta, tunaenda kwa MCS wetu wote. Tutaita meeting ya MCS wote ya Western. Tunataka wamama nyinyi, kampeni ile mnapika na wazee na vijana wetu, watoto wetu, ya kwamba umoja ya watu wa Western lazima itimishwe. Tukienda kwa kura ambayo inakuja, tunaenda kama jamii, tunapiga kura pamoja. Umoja wetu ndio nguvu wetu.
Meanwhile, the Senate Committee on Devolution was on Sunday in Meru County to establish whether the hostility between the Meru County MCAs and the Meru governor has been resolved. Speaking shortly after the closed-door meeting, the leaders said plans are underway to broker a truce between the MCAs and the governor to spur development in Meru.
And we have also agreed that we keep on talking so that we can be able to bring the executive and the assembly together for working together, and also to ensure that the people of Meru really benefits for the next remaining 4.5 years as they expected when they elected the leaders that they have elected.
We look forward to the consultations happening well, and I believe in the next few weeks we will see a more cooperative kind of relationship between the executive of Meru and the county assembly, and we wish them the very best.
Elsewhere, Nairobi County Governor Johnson Sakaja now wants his move to work with members of the county assembly from various political parties to deliver services replicated at the national levels in efforts to forge national unity. Sakaja, who spoke in Busia County, claimed those keen on spearheading politics of division could find themselves cornered in the event the opposition and the government decide to work together.
So wale ambao wanajaribu kuleta kelele ati kwa sababu Sakaja anafanya kazi na Azimio na UDA, look for division elsewhere. Ile siku mtaona Raila Odinga na Ruto wamekaa pamoja, mtakuwa na aibu kubwa sana. Because our country cannot be divided again, and it will not be divided.
Parents, teachers and learners are bracing for a 36-week-long basic education school calendar after the school returned to normalcy starting today. According to the Ministry of Education, all primary and secondary schools are set to reopen on Monday, that is today, for the first term. The calendar had been disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
According to the Ministry of Education, from Monday, January 23rd, 2023, the basic education calendar will revert to 3 terms as it was before the COVID-19 pandemic. A circular to senior education officials says the fee structures shall remain as it was 2 years ago. In the new school calendar, all pre-primary, primary and secondary schools will report for the first term on Monday, January 23rd, 2023 and close on Friday, April 21st, 2023 after 13 weeks of learning. Second term will also be 13 weeks. Dates are Monday, May 8th to Friday, August 11th, with a midterm break from Thursday, June 29th to Sunday, July 2nd, 2023. Third term will run for 10 weeks from Monday, August 28th to Saturday, November 11th to pave way for December holidays, which will take place from November 3rd to January 2024. This means that the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education KCPE national exams are scheduled for Monday, November the 6th to Thursday, November the 9th, while the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE exam commences from Friday, November 10th to Friday, December 1st for 3 weeks. Meanwhile, the first cohort of grade 7 learners report on Monday, January 30th, 2023, while reporting period for Form 1 students is between Monday, February 6th and Monday, February 13th, 2023.
Interpeace Kenya and leaders from insecurity-prone zones are now backing the government to arm the National Police Reservists. Speaking in Tangulu Bay, Tiati constituency in Baringo County during a two-day meeting, the leaders said the escalating conflicts
mechanisms to slow down or dilute this case
by arming the National Police Reservists. The development comes as Defense Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale says the government will not tolerate anyone destabilizing the security in the country.
Interpeace Kenya has changed its stand on arming National Police Reservists in insecurity-prone areas, saying the continued conflicts in the region has escalated. Speaking in Tangule Bay, Tiati constituency in Baringo County, in a two-day meeting, the leaders say the government should arm the reservists.
KBR sopewe bunduki. Sasa tunasema peana kwa sababu huwezi kuwa na mtu mmoja ambaye anakuja na mimine risasi vile anataka na wengine hawana risasi.
Wase watangulie kuomba nyasi na wakisha omba nyasi kupewa, chukua listi ya vijana yenu wote wenye wanaenda kuchunga ng'ombe na kupeana kwa administration. Ile jambo lolote likifanyika mahali pale, basi wafuate kuatia wale vijana ile listi ya majina ambayo imepeana.
The peace mission comes in the wake of simmering tension in Kerio region, where 2 people were shot dead in Chesegon area in the border of Elgeyo Marakwet and West Pokot counties.
Tunastahili kutafuta mbinu badala na tuende turudi nyuma tuone ni wapi tulikosea. Kama tulikosea Mungu, ama tulijikosea, ama tulikosea nani?
Iko wazee wanabariki vijana kutenda dhambi. Sasa hawa wako pande yenu ama wako pande gani? Wanatusaidia ama watusaidii?
This even as the government has reiterated that it will ensure all citizens are safeguarded and curb insecurity cases that derail development.
Nataka tushikane, tusikubali. Tunajenga barabara kutoka Lamu mpaka Isiolo Marsabit. Hiyo barabara tumeweka investment mingi ya security.
Elsewhere, Kamkunji Sub-County Police Commander Francis Ngugi has urged Buruburu residents to work harmoniously with the police to reduce crime.
Lakini katika kupata information kutoka kwa wananchi wanatupatia ambayo tunashirikia mara hiyo ndio imefanya vitu zimerudi chini, hata kusema kweli hata wananchi hapa wana appreciate.
Sisi wenyewe hatuwezi ka fight crime tukiwa peke yetu. So members of the public feel free, Buruburu ama ofisi yote wakati yote unaweza kuingia.
Finally, in Murang'a County, Ahadi Kenya Trust has brought together taxi drivers and security agents in a bid to promote community policing.
I'm urging each and every other person to be able to come out. Let's continue mixing and talking to the police officers. Let's talk to the business community so that we can be able to enhance our security.
Also sensitize them to be ambassadors there on the ground, because they normally work at odd hours. They move here and there and they can come across anything.
Tumepata hiyo link. Tukipata jambo yoyote ya uhalifu ama jambo yoyote ya kutusubua, tuwe tuna communicate na police, na wamesema watakuwa wakitusaidia, watakuwa on the spot.
To matters agriculture now, where over 100,000 farmers in Trans Nzoia County have registered on the e-wallet system in readiness for the distribution of the subsidized fertilizer. President William Ruto is expected to oversee the subsidized fertilizer distribution across the 38 wards in Trans Nzoia in a program that has been ongoing.
Last year, an inter-agency team was constituted to fast-track registration of farmers across 38 counties to ease access of the subsidized fertilizer. Kenya National Trading Corporation and Carol have already mapped agro dealers at the ward level who would be linked with farmers on the e-wallet system in a movement to eliminate cartels and middlemen.
Anybody who wants to get fertilizer are expected to fill those forms, apply. As long as they are farmers, you do an application, your registration is taken by the area assistant chief, is swept to the central place, and every farmer will be given 2 bags of fertilizer per acre. So the more the farmers will register, the more the fertilizer we're going to get. I like this program because there's no discrimination at all.
Hata wakao wengine wanakuja kututoa kwa manyumba tuende kwa ofisi ya chifu tuandike. Unajaza form, unasema kiasi yenye unalima. Kwa hivyo watu tumejitolea wengi sana. Kwa sababu tukienda kwa board, tunapata wale wana mashamba kubwa wametumalizia mbolea. Sisi wa mashamba ndogo hatupati mbolea mpaka tunapata mwezi wa 6 kama wakati imeisha.
Over 100,000 farmers in Trans Nzoia County have so far registered on the platform for the registration exercise that came to a close today, although some farmers are seeking an extension.
Hiyo mpango ni mzuri kwa sababu unapata nyumba 10 wanakuja wakitembea kwa kila boma wakiandika watu. Ule anataka kulima, juu unapata wengine saa hii hata roho ya kulima ilikuwa imeisha. Kwa hivyo nilikuwa naomba kama hiyo mbolea kusema ukweli iko inakuja itatusaidia. Naona hata wale walikuwa wameisha roho ya kulima, tutazidi na kulima na watafufua roho ya kulima na watu watachangamuka.
Farmers like David Simeyu want the government to reduce the cost of fertilizer.
Hakika hiyo kitu mkulima mdogo bado hajafaidika. Hajafaidika kabisa. Kwa sababu gani? Hawa wakulima wakubwa hii mbolea inapofika hawa huwa ananyakua yote.
Ukulima ni karama. Kwa ajili tuseme hivyo, kama juzi la sia tulinunua mfuko moja shilingi 7,000. Juzi tumesikia president ametupunguzia, imekuwa shilingi 3,500. Na hasa mimi mkiona hivi nalima shamba kubwa, ningekubali president kama angekuwa na njia nyingine afinye kuja 2,500, wakulima tungefurahia, tungejaribu sana tuwe na chakula mingi, kwa vile sasa tutakuwa tumekuja nafuu kwa ground.
Farmers in Trans Nzoia County have welcomed the move by the government to start distributing of the subsidized fertilizer, saying that fertilizer has been expensive for a long time, but with this program, farm inputs will be affordable and the cost of production will go down, thereby increasing the country's food security.
Thank you, Carol Njenga, for that report. And on that note, we take our first break of the bulletin. We'll be back with much more in just a moment.
Listen up. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Engine.
How do we hear? How do we see? What makes up the air we breathe? Let's go! Let's go! It's technology. Let's go! Let's grow! Science, you and me. Let's go! We're learning every day.
Let's ask, let's learn, and let's love. And don't forget to make it fun.
This is how we would meet again. Are you taking care of me? It turns out you're hurting me.
She's getting prettier and prettier. Anybody seeing the two of you will know immediately you're related. Join us.
Isn't this supposed to be a meal to celebrate my new job?
Why would you start eating without me? He's such a weirdo. Am I his guinea pig?
What do you want? I really need to speak with you. I have a question for you. Currently, I'm merely your subordinate. But can we be friends?
Thank you for staying with us. We go to matters gender now, where Pastor Dorcas Rigathi, wife of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, has reiterated her commitment to fighting for the boy-child empowerment across the country. Speaking at Pefa Church in Nyeri town during a church service, Pastor Dorcas noted that the boy-child empowerment will save the nation. She was accompanied by Nyeri Governor, that is Mutahi Kahiga, who pledged support for the boy-child agenda, adding that the region is losing a generation due to neglect. Pastor Dorcas also presented a 1 million shillings donation to the church from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua.
In the boy child, I see a future, and I know that if you want to change a country, you can only change if you have men on board. Because God said, male and female, I created them. He did not create the female alone and did not create the man alone. And therefore, male and female, he created, he God. He blessed them and told them to have dominion. So when you leave to one and leave another, that is not the principle of God. And to get a stable family, we must bring up to the level where the girl is, that boy child.
I remember you are concerned about the boy child, and I am committed to work with you. Hiyo maneno ya vijana wale ambao mnaona wamepotoka, wa hawana direction, hawana nini, we are losing a generation.
Well, let's now look at sports, where the Kenya Taekwondo Federation has selected a team that will represent the country at the World Championship in Abidjan in May and the Africa Games set for Ghana in August. The team selected during the national trials at the Kenyatta University include Olympians Faith Ogalo and Milka Akinyi, who headlined the ladies category, Elijah Kimani and Robert Omondi, who led the men's category. Others in the team are Evans Odwor, Lemose Leshao, Daniel Ndiwe, Agnes Njeri, Cynthia Wekesa, and Mary Mureu, among others. The team will begin their semi-residential training at the Pipeline Taekwondo Talent Center early next month. Well, and that story brings us to the end of the news this morning. Thank you so much for choosing to start part of your day with us here on Good Morning Kenya. Remember, we still have a lot lined up for you in terms of news in our subsequent bulletins, so stay tuned. Right now, I want to hand it over to Victor Olo, who will be handling the Eye on Politics this morning. My name is Mariambo. See you again on Thursday, God willing.
Thank you so much, Marie, for that. And by the way, Arsenal fans, we've not forgotten. Manchester United, we have not forgotten. Yes. I have got Wakili Gibson Gesori in studio with me right now, who will be talking matters politics. There you have him, as well as Abdullahi Ahmed, who is a political analyst and political commentator as well. Those are two gentlemen in studio ready for us to get the gist of what's happening. But before then, let's take a look at what we have on the front page of our local dailies. Let me start with the Daily Nation. On the front page of the Daily Nation, divorce crisis. Divorce crisis. Couples are going online and hiring private detectives to spy on each other. And there are some numbers here which says that Kenyan households by marital status, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. There's some startling figure there. You can take a look at that. It says that 1 in every 18 households in Kenya is headed by someone who has been divorced or separated, a 16% rise in a decade, a report by government agency shows. And the chances of a new union breaking are now even higher. Just what could be contributing to this sorry state of affairs? That is what's on the front page of the Daily Nation. Still continue to say that Ruto warning as Raila digs in over poll 2022 poll. President William Ruto has dared Azimio leader Raila Odinga to lead demonstrations over the outcome of last year's presidential election, warning he will not yield to blackmail. The president claimed that Mr. Odinga is determined to sabotage his administration's efforts to revive the economy. Of course, Raila jets back into the country this morning. What KCSE exam stolen? Was KCSE exam stolen? Questions over high grades. Something that has been the lips of so many people for the last few days. Second page here, divorce cases spike as spying online exposes cheaters. Couples continue to spy on each other, even though courts have ruled that any evidence obtained illegally is not admissible. That's a cool story going from page 2 to page 3. New finding, court blocks secretly acquired evidence against wife in case. It's about page 2, 3, 4, all about marital issues here. And it says that, again, another story, Ruto warns Raila on planned protest. Head of state says that he will not allow Azimio leader to derail his efforts to revive the country's economy. Of course, he was speaking yesterday during a Sunday service in Kerugoya Stadium. And finally, Raila expected to drop polls bombshell at Kamkunji. Azimio has been calling for opening of IEB's servers after whistleblowers' revelation. And it says that Mr. Odinga will today head to Kamkunji grounds in Nairobi to drop the promised election quote-unquote bombshell on his arrival from a week-long official visit to South Africa. And of course, on that note, let me just bring you in before I go to the next newspaper here. Abdullahi, first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
On this story, what do you make of this? Raila expect to drop a bombshell at Kamkunji today?
Well, I think it is his right in our constitution to drop the bombshell, but I think the bombshell was dropped by the Supreme Court. That what he's going to tell us mainly is about maybe how the election was rigged, the servers were not opened, there's quote-unquote a whistleblower. There's nothing information we're going to get. I mean, Article 140, I think, to settle those matters when the Supreme Court said the election was fair, free, and verifiable. So yes, for him as an opposition leader, he's a statesman in this country. He has done a lot in pursuit of power as a person. He's a man who has been around for some time. So currently he's also coming back as an infrastructure representative for the AU, meeting African leaders or different parts of people. But I think he's coming around midday, and let him, he's free to go and tell us what he wants to tell, and then Kenyans will make sense of what he's saying. If it is political gimmicks and the normal opposition rhetorics in the country, or politicians, the way they always do things, it's okay. But what is important is let's have a very peaceful demonstration. We should give them enough security. Let them go there, let them exercise their freedom of speech. and then let's be very mature about what he's doing.
But Wakili, constitutionally is allowed to picket and hold peaceful demonstrations. But what will change? What will change? Now the bombshell is here. He's going to give the revelations as far as that is concerned. What will it change?
I don't see anything much changing, save for he's trying to appeal to his stronghold. You realize that he took a beating in the election, and it has been very difficult for him to come up to make a political comeback. So basically, you know, this is the usual Raila. Baba, well, you are away stories. You remember how they gave him a comeback after the last 2017 election. He was, I think, away for 3 months. And same speed. I think that is his strategy. I don't know whether it's going to work the way it worked in the 2017, but this time I think he's really battered politically, so he will need a miracle. We'll need a miracle to transform his political fortunes. But nonetheless, you never write off Raila. He's a man you think is totally finished, and then he just starts a small thing, and then it goes viral among his political base, and he has a very loyal base. So that his success will be dependent on whether actually how the government of the day behaves. You know, the government of the day is bound to be blamed on a daily basis. There is the food crisis, there is the electricity, there is the petroleum. So each of these things are things which, if you petrify Kenyans politically and tell them, see, this is what you are promised, this is what you are having. So we could have provided better. And you see what these guys are doing, they are actually even taxing you more.
Yes.
So once you mention those things to the hustlers, once you mention those things to the hustlers in Kenya, they are bound to make people ask some fundamental questions which the government of the day might not be able to answer.
Yes.
You remember the government might need like a year or 2 or 3
to settle.
Peaceful to settle.
Exactly.
And the trick of Raila, or the genius in Raila, is to actually attack them while they are on their low and start now putting them on their defense.
Right.
When government is continually put on defense, they are likely to make mistakes, or they are bound to make more mistakes.
That is just a preamble. We are going to get into the details shortly, but let me just take you through the pages here of the Standard newspaper. On the front page, fresh headache for teachers as schools reopen. Fresh headache for teachers as schools reopen from challenges of CBC and junior secondary to mass recruitment and training of tutors. The climb is steep for stakeholders as parents rue the high cost of taking their children back to institutions that resume a normal calendar. It has been a very tough 2-year period after the corona happened. Bring it on. Ruto dares Raila on Kamkunji rally. President says that there is no room for intimidation or handshake in spite of threats by opposition to further the narrative that elections was stolen in today's Kamkunji rally. How it's going to turn out will be interesting to see. Still on the front page, Chebukati's team faces Masit in election tribunal. That happens. I'll give you details shortly. And of course, the story continues to say that difficult times for parents as schools reopen after long break, 2 months. 2 months, and now students are going back. New hurdles for administrators as schools revert to old calendar. The biggest issue rather, is finding space for the approximately 1.2 million grade 7 students. More than 13,000 schools have met the Ministry of Education's requirements for junior secondary schools. Numbers there. School reform is entering revolutionary phase this year, but the country isn't ready. A discussion and something that has been spoken over and over again. I'll ask Wakili here to tell me, Nyambaria in Kisii in the lips of many, and how it is. Azimio raises storm of election results ahead of Kamkunji rally. President Ruto claims that the meeting is a decoy by Raila to demand a handshake and join the government. Azimio has appealed to the public to come out in large numbers and attend the rally. And finally on that, Azimio hopes for handshake deal, says Ruto. Is it? Wakili, is it?
In this country, you never know until something happens. Politically, you never write off something.
Yes.
So the fact that we were able to have the handshake in first in 2007, 2008, and then it was later, I think, 2018 thereabout. So you can never
in politics,
write off
anything can happen.
Yeah, in politics, anything can happen. For anything for power. And I think if we also look at on the other side is that Kenyans end up gaining.
What do you make of this one, Abdullahi? Because when you talk with the president, it's been something that been talking about since day one. That Raila is yearning for a handshake and they're not ready for that. You know, there is a gentleman called Murphy. In Murphy's law, Murphy says that if you want a loan, first of all, you have to prove that you don't want it. So is the government yearning for Raila to come to government, but on the other side they're saying we don't want you, so that if at all it happens, then they'll get a softer landing or a punching bag to say we told you.
But I think even if they do not want to have the experience of 2017-18 much. I remember it was only a year, barely a year, when there was a handshake between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. People felt Raila betrayed them, and they were blaming Uhuru for bringing on Raila. One is to destroy his base by making sure that he pulls him away from the streets, give him some goodies, so that he can govern the country very peacefully. But now, if Ruto and Gachagua today agree that they are going to have a handshake, what kind of a handshake will they have?
Exactly.
Okay? If they do, how will the hustlers react to that?
Or even the formation of the government, because now
before we reach the formation of the government, the country belongs to people under Article 1. They are the ones who are sovereign. So they put you into power to exercise those powers. Now, unless you consult them and tell them what do we do with this guy, you go the way Uhuru went, then you'll still have the backlash Uhuru had. So, Raila, if again he goes into handshake, it's also going to destroy his political, base in 2027.
Yes.
So politics has already started in Kenya.
Think is
we realized that these guys were at Harambee House that morning in March. We didn't know, but there were rumors.
Even Junet Mohammed said that he was just called and said, come.
But there was,
they didn't know.
If you have friends in the intelligence and you are informed within the government machinery, there was, rumors and gossips that the former president's family and the Raila Odinga's family, especially the mothers and the wives, were behind the scene coordinating some of these things. Remember, these are the oligarchs of this country for a very long time. So you might, it's what they tell us, okay? But when they go to the bars and the houses and the private, lounges, there are things they discuss, and that's how politics works. So I am sure when you see like Ruto's card is a politician who I always say he plays the card of checkmate. He sends Mudavadi to do things, then Musalia Wetangula does something similar, then the bullfighter does, so they're checkmates. That's how they operate. So that no one feels he's too powerful and very close to the president.
Yes.
So now that Raila is back today, it's a working day. So what happens, why did he choose Monday? Why didn't he do it on Saturday? Or wait for next week? So he has a certain agenda and going to the streets or having this kind of big gatherings, it is a way of putting pressure to the government. So the government will. That's why you could see the president, the deputy president responding.
It's a talk of timing.
Of timing, exactly. and putting pressure on the government.
Yes.
Now, when he goes to Kamkunji today, and he speaks to us, he's speaking to us from what we are speaking about, against the government.
Okay.
So you see, so that will attract some people like, yes, it's true, even if he's an opposition, he did not get the presidency, yes, but some of the things he's talking about are very true.
All right.
You see, so that's what he's going to do, but will there be a possibility of a handshake? You can't say no in Kenya.
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.
Gentlemen, let me just take the first paper here, that is the Star. On the front page, actually most of in all the headlines here on the Standard, on the Star, it's all about education. And this headline here is KCSE anomalies, MPs, experts demand probe. MPs and experts demand probe. Inquiries by the Star lay bare secret schemes schools used for massive cheating. All right, revealed what U.S. think tanks say of Ruto and Raila August contest. The think tank says that Vanguard Africa said a trove of election data yet to be proven as accurate and valid and provided by an anonymous whistleblower from inside IBC shows that the poll results had discrepancies. Okay? And based on the analysis, Vanguard Africa founding director Jeffrey Smith said discrepancies are sufficient to cast doubt on the validity of the final result announced by the IEBC. And at this particular point, Wakili, you know, in the Kenyan system, the Supreme Court is the apex court, and everything that goes there is final. But do we have limitation on such kind of cases as far as this is concerned?
Yeah, there's a very clear limitation in the Constitution that once the Supreme Court defines itself on certain matter issues, political, presidential, at the presidential issue, then that is final. You never have an opportunity to appeal anywhere. So that is with finality. So that part maybe whatever it is that this whistleblower wants to come up with, I think it's something which ought to have been done before the election, which could have really brought the evidence to the court so that the court can be able to make a finding on it. You remember the issue of Kamago?
Yes.
I tend to relate the aspect of this whistleblower to the intrigues which the Azimio people had around Kamago issue, which turned out to be hot air, because they were trying to sell a story to Kenyans that, you know, Jose Kamago's name is here. But then when you go deep down into the evidence, when they were asked basic questions about the Kamago issue, it turned out to be just a trick which they were trying to play to the public. They were trying to play to the public gallery to hoodwink the unsuspecting members of the country, because I don't think you can lie to a civilized Kenyan, somebody who has done IT, somebody who has done law, and combine those two aspects that you know, the aspect of Kamago's name being could have led to an election malpractice, which could have turned an election. I think
Jose Kamago is a celebrity in Kenya.
Yes, yes.
Kenyan
So
right
when
now,
you sensationalize things in that particular manner, and sell a story to Kenyans, which is very hot, it becomes very hot, and people are like, yes, this is what we have been told, and it's here. And you know, I will give it to the Azimio team. They really have a good show.
But do we have a judicial restriction to discuss this matter? Yes, the case is final. It's been sealed by the Supreme Court. But do we have judicial restriction for Raila Odinga even to discuss this matter outside the court?
Is that there is none. There is none. I think for political purposes we can go as far as we want, because there's no limitation. The court has decided, but then, you know, whatever now you discuss is, because when a case is done, it becomes functus official according to the judicial system. But politically, nothing stops you, especially when you now start bringing people who are claiming to be whistleblowers and such things. Which thing, you know, politically or legally you could have brought actually before court, but you didn't. So it means you didn't know. It's now coming out now. Now we will have to canvass it in the political surrounding, in the social circles of Kenyans, and discuss it to conclusion. Of course, there is the court of public opinion. Right. So that is where it will actually make much more sense. Because the judicial one, not so many people understand what went in there. But the one of the public opinion, you will have people tell you off, even if they have never attended any law training. They will actually dismiss you officially in a public court of law, and you'll be like, okay, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but you keep your opinion.
Yes. Politically, Raila is right to go ahead with the discussion and what have you. But do you think the Kenya Kwanza administration should ignore Raila altogether? Abdi?
Well, they should not ignore him per se, but they should be ahead of him, in the sense that if there are circles within him, they're discussing certain agendas, they should also speak to the same, so that it does not look like Raila is the one advocating for good governance, and the people who are elected to office are doing misgovernance. So I think they should, there is nothing that Kenya Kwanza does that Raila doesn't know. There is nothing that, Jubilee and, Azimio guys do that Ruto doesn't know. These guys have friends within themselves, what you call in Kenya moles. So right now, there is a lot of attraction towards the government. Yes. Because the government has goodies. Okay, people will be calling the president, the deputy president, Musalia Mudavadi. So there are people who are going to these guys and even volunteering information so that they access, either they get sympathy or access some goodies. So they should not ignore him per se, but I think they should be ahead of him. That is one. Speaking to what my colleague talked about, that case, the presidential petition, I think it's under Article 142, is done and dusted. It's done. So Raila can go, like Mother Karua went to East Africa.
Yeah, East African Court of Justice.
Court of Justice. It's within her rights. And you should know that we have a constitution, a reformist constitution that took us almost 60, how many, we have amended almost 30 times to arrive to the one we have today. So I want people to know that there is freedom of expression in this country. So one of it is that we did not have it much during Kenyatta and Moi. Okay. So now people can vent. Okay.
Hold on to that.
Yes.
Let's hold on to that thought. Kidogo too. Let's take a break, and we come back. I'll still give you time to circle back and give me your opinion. We still have so much to talk about, because as far as this is concerned, on that issue of why the Kenya Kwanza administration should not ignore Raila Odinga. It starts like this, and we all know how it all started in 2017, 2018 until 2022. It was all politics all through to 2022. So gentlemen, let's take a break. When we come back, so much more on Iron Politics.
Barama te barikena na mekena kawakapu.
Kwani wewe una shida gani?
Ebu relax. Wewe umeniambia ni kubaya, bahali yake anakimbia. Wewe pia unakimbia. Mnakimbia nini?
Bucha leo. Bucha.
Nini kimefanyika? Sasa
atuachi.
Hands up. You are arrest.
Angalia huyo vizuri, angalia mrembo vizuri, angalia msichana. Umemwona wapi?
Mimi si tu huyu mama.
Mimi ni mamako, hauna adabu hata kidogo.
Mogoga. Hii hapa unaona? Yani ni keki, ugali mgoga.
Unacho usuli wa ugali ni mocha, vitamini zake yani unacho ni kitu imekombiniwa pamoja, haina cholesterol, hainone.
We are officially conducting an inquest into the undercover operation dubbed Hidden Leaf. Tukisuspect wewe ama Sergeant Omwami cause failure to this mission, there will be repercussions.
Tumepata changamoto kwa mipango yetu, lakini jitku ukusojira.
Kurumua imane.
Mardo na kuhakikisha.
Mardo maakawada.
Hii mission ni classified. Hakuna mtu atajua. Only mimi na DIG.
If they need him alive, then we need him dead.
wamekuwa nani ndo waanze kutupatia hizo orders.
Kama maiti itatulipa. Hujaona maiti ikifufuka. Ujaicheki?
I know you're worried about him. Boys and their dads. Did I say something wrong?
Well, tell me how you really feel.
You know what matters? Ni ati umerudi kazi. Na kama kuna mtu anaweza kulainisha hii kampuni ni wewe.
Ambia mama hivyo.
Hiyo ni ukweli. She would do a perfect job.
Kisima drops will have to go on, even without our dear Melissa. So, please join me in welcoming our latest addition to the company, my daughter Zawadi.
And welcome back. Now, you are on the floor of the House. Abdi, you can just pick it from where you left.
What you are saying now is that, where were we? We were discussing?
Okay, let me remind you, the whole issue of Raila, the government should not ignore Raila Odinga.
No, they can't. Yes. And we said for the only way to make sure that Raila does not run away with the show, because of what Kenyans are complaining about,
is for the Kenya Kwanza to be ahead
Kenya Kwanza to deliver to their promises, especially the cost of food. So that in the next 2 harvests, fertilizer, there was a report today that the fertilizer, I think it was in Business Daily, the fertilizer is not going the way they were saying. They should make sure that the fertilizer is cheap at 3,500, so that in the next 2 harvests, there is enough supply from production in agriculture, so that food costs can go down. Then from there, they should work on inflation. Then from there, they should work on unemployment. That way, they can, survive Raila. But if they do not deliver on the promises, and what you told us is not what you are doing, you're talking to us every day with a lot of rhetorics, then Raila is going to run away with the show. He does that very, he has this fanatical follower across the country, even though, the current president, William Ruto, is making, his advances in Western Kenya, in part of, and in part of the Gusii community, the coast region, Eastern Duale is working on a lot of things. So he's trying to make sure that he eats into the base of Raila. But Raila will do what he did best, always run with the show. People will come, Kenyans. Those, Kamukunji will create a narrative by 6 p.m. today. We will be talking about some issues. And that's what he wants. And as long as you are engaging the public in the current debate of what is affecting the ordinary man, then the onus is of the government to prove that what Raila is saying is not true. Okay. Otherwise, he's going to keep them on their toes.
Absolutely. So there is that story where President spoke yesterday and said that Raila Odinga is being sponsored by some cartels. The sugar, the tea, milk, coffee cartels who are sponsoring and financing Raila Odinga. We'll get that story briefly. Director, please, if you have that story, just get ready for me. But much as this is happening, Wakili, the whistleblower is from IBC. Yes, Vanguard Africa says that, it cast a lot of doubt and credibility test on Kenya Kwanza administration. What do you think the president should do to remain afloat and to remain relevant amidst all these allegations?
I think the best thing the president should do, first of all, is first not to comment about the issues of politics. I think him being the lead man in the front needs to craft a strategy and have people going to handle the political gimmicks for him, so that he can concentrate on organizing Kenya and putting key infrastructure administratively to deliver to what it is that he promised Kenyans, as Abdullah said, because that is the clearest way to actually be able to defeat Raila. Of course, as long as he will be on a back and forth answering with Raila, and that's what Raila enjoys, is giving more credibility to Raila than he should. So that is for the start. Secondly, there are some basic things which we expect to see. You remember now he is fully formed government.
Yes.
We expect to see the president move with his team now, move with speed and ensure that the jobs are there. Ensure that people, the food on the table is something which is already a tackled issue. Because as long as you don't tackle electricity, fuel and food on the table of Kenyans, you're going to have a political challenge, given that that is what matters to Kenyans. Remember, schools are opening. There's a lot of confusion still around the junior secondary. So those are some of the issues which you should be able to concentrate on. And once government makes policies or keeps making statements which bring Kenyans to keep asking more questions, they start wondering who is in charge, what is going on. And this is the right time for Raila to sneak in and tackle and take the hustlers. You know, taking the hustlers is very easy from Ruto.
You talk to the things that close to their hearts.
You speak to their hearts. And that's what Raila is trying to do. And the president needs to be very keen to deliver. And you know, as long as you say that, provided the Kenyans are sure that you've delivered 1, 2, 3, and you've told them how you're going to tackle the next, they might be telling Raila that, Mzee, hold your horses fast. But you know, that is impossible now.
All right. So let's take a look at that story. The president spoke yesterday. The deputy spoke yesterday. Let's just hear what he said. Press play, director.
That we will not allow our country to be a hostage to threats and blackmail by a few people who are looking for their personal interest. We are going to serve all Kenyans equally, irrespective of how they voted, because we want to move our country to the next level.
Hii mambo ya hii mzee tuachie. Dawa ya hii mtu ni mtoto ya maumau. Wewe kaa kando. Kaa kando. Wewe rais, please, endelea na mambo ya uchumi, utusaidie. Mambo ya Hustlers Fund, utusaidie. Utafute pesa ya kulipa barabara, uniunge mkono na hawa, utusaidie. Mambo ya chai, kahawa, mchele, tusaidie. Mambo ya hii mzee, weka kando.
The head of state maintains he is focused on delivering unity and development to all parts of the country and will not entertain destruction.
Mimi siwezi kuruhusu ati watu wache waende kona pale, ati watupangie njama ya kututisha, ati wanatupangia sijui maandamano, ati sisi tuwache kushughulikia mahitaji ya wananchi wa Kenya, ati sisi tukuje hapo ati tushughulikie mahitaji yao. Wamezoea hiyo tabia, lakini we are telling them the end has come. There is no more. Ile mulipata kwa vitisho sasa iwatoshe. Wacha sasa tufanyie kazi wananchi wa taifa letu la Kenya.
Kama hawakukuweza, walipokunyanyasa, wamekuacha nje, wamedhulumu kila mtu ambaye amekuongelesha, watakuwezaje sasa? Umesonga karibu zaidi na Mungu, alafu huko na serikali. I don't know whether you know there was a meeting in Mombasa ya viongozi kadhaa na wanajijua, and I'll tell you their names. Nao ndio wana finance huyu mzee, na tunataka kuambia hata wao wafanye nini, wakome.
Na kwa hiyo maandamano, mimi nitakuombea ruhusa hata kwa rais wetu, ikiwezekana hata serikali ipelekee watu maji pale.
Abdullahi, what do you make of that? Hata serikali wapelekee maji pale.
Yeah, they're enjoying them. I mean, they're just teasing them, which is a political, you know, bar. You take a you knock at them, you punch them a little bit. I think it's on a lighter note. But I think you heard the president. You saw the body language.
Yes.
Very authoritative. I am in charge. I'm not going to accept. I'm no longer the deputy president. You're using your friend to harass me. But now, is it acceptable for President William Ruto to accept a handshake if we will have riots and you know, demonstrations in Nairobi? He will have to come to the table. What will they discuss is something that remains to be seen then. But right now, Raila is seeing a gap. What will have happened still? Remember, appointments are still coming thick and fast. he should settle. And he should avoid answering to Raila all the time. When you are the president, there is certain demeanor that should be around you. You are state, property. You are a symbol
of power remains scarce.
You are a symbol of unity. So right now, President William Ruto is not campaigning. He is in the State House. He has been sworn to protect and defend the Constitution and serve Kenyans equally, including Raila, because he's the president now. Raila is 78. Ruto is 56. Raila is older, 22 years, older than him. But today, Ruto is the president. So the kind of political, tactics Ruto has used is one, Ruto is more generous than Raila, the perception out there. If you talk to people who have worked with the deputy president, the former the president, William Ruto, you will hear that he is generous. You will see that from the church. He came on national TV and said, I have built more mosques in madrasa than most Muslims. So in my culture, within the Somali, we say that decisions are only two, or no. One depends here. You know what goes here? Here. One decision that determines everything about why do men fight? Men fight over resources and power. So once you take care of these are mine, the rest will take care of themselves. Like if you have a dog at home, and I'm not trying to say Kenyans are dogs, but I'm using it symbolically, and every day you are the guy always giving it, a liver, a lungs of a goat, a piece of meat, tapping it and patting it, then the other guy who just walks in and walks out, every time you come home, the dog will wag the tail, okay? And be friendly. But the other guy, to just lie down and say, this one doesn't even provide me with anything. Even the animals.
Yes.
Because we keep camel, we keep goats, we keep cattle. We know how relationships with human beings are. So Ruto is going to beat Raila in that hand. Okay? Look at the soldiers, the foot soldiers for Raila. They have gone silent. Okay?
That perhaps for a reason.
Yeah, one of the reasons is this. The next 5 years, Raila is outside government.
It could be because, in politics, talk when it's necessary.
No. It's not just necessarily. Politicians, when, these guys have already gone into parliament.
Yeah.
So there's no election. Before election, Raila will just say, you go home.
Okay.
Now we have another 5 years.
Right. Okay, let me just ask you, by the end of today, Raila is coming back and, the bombshell quote in quote as they put it. So what's going to change? Move for the next couple of months, all right? He'll come with all the evidence that probably he'll obtained from the whistleblower. So what will change politically?
The perception. What
Raila
is trying to do is to sell a perception or to sell his name to Kenyans. Now we're talking about him in a morning show. All Kenyans are watching. So in the evening they will be talking about him more, because he will have spoken, I want to imagine, about things which they are very keen and they want to hear about. The cost of food, the cost of taking kids to school. We'll be able to talk about elections, how he lost. That one will be appealing to his masses. With food, he will be appealing to every hustler in this country. So he will be a talking point for the next month or so, and that is what he wants, to get back to where he was before election. And once he achieves that, he will go home and rest and be smiling. The rest now, he will leave it to government to keep battling about, because you must answer Kenyans all these questions. Once he needs just one political rally to destabilize government for the next 1 month or so, and they will keep making statements and counter statements, which will of course be able to make them look like they don't know what they're doing. Yes.
When you look at the variation, the gap, according to the whistleblower, Raila purportedly had 8 million to President Ruto 5 million. That's a difference of 3 million votes. Now you can imagine 3 million Kenyans saying that there is a gap of 3 million. The president now will have time, or will have that task, to convince Kenyans that that is not the correct situation.
Yes.
It is 200,000 that I defeated Raila Odinga, and that is a state, and it will remain so for the next 5 years. Do you really think now the president has an uphill task to prove to Kenyans and even the entire, world at large, or even Africa, that he's legitimately in office, and whatever is being said by the whistleblower is just but quote unquote hot air?
From a perspective, the president is clear. I mean, looking at it, he didn't declare himself, he was declared by the IBC. Whoever claims that there was a difference of 3 million, that is the evidence you ought to have brought to the Supreme Court, but they never did. They never did. So, so to that part, I think that's a settled debate. But politically now, there's a problem. Politically, there's a problem when people are now saying
this is where
you stole it.
Should be concerned about.
Yes, that's what they should be concerned about, because when somebody starts saying you stole my votes, and Raila has been very clear that Chebukati is a criminal, he should be inside. This is Raila is a good schemer, because he knows this is around the time that Raila has left office. And then the president the other day made a very clear statement that, we are going to form a commission of inquiry or a tribunal to look into what happened at Bomas. Most of the things which happened at Bomas are the Azimio are culpable.
Yes.
So it's only that the right time to come in and throw mud around so that everybody has mud, so that whenever you start pointing my mud, I already have pointed out yours. Because the tribunal is likely to come up with some culpability, which some people might actually, some recommendation that people might be held criminally liable. So, and these are your soldiers, whom you will depend to cover you politically. So you will need to come in and counter it while it's still hot, before things, going ahead of things. And that is the kind of political animal that Raila is. He's able to scheme well in advance. So it's not, as Ahmed said, I think it's the Kenya Kwanza only have got to be ahead of him. So they need to also be able to scheme in advance and be able to see him coming. I think for this one, they didn't. Now that we are going to have this happening today, I think he's already scored.
Okay. Abdullah, as you respond to that, you want to have a joint answer to that, but let me ask you, when the president spoke that there were some plans to murder former IBC chair of Chebukati, the other side of the opposition did not speak. They went silent. They waited for Chebukati to exit office officially, and the following day, Kioni was there with the press conference. We have this dossier here, the whistleblower is from IBC. It was a attack of timing. So they waited for Chebukati to exit. He'll have no official and absolute authority to speak on behalf of IBC, then they strike. So at this particular point, based on what the president said, that they'll not be boxed into a corner for them to accept any form of handshake. Do you really think the president was seeing this coming, or even his think tanks, or even his advisors?
First of all, what Raila is doing is he's trying to fight the legitimacy of Kenya Kwanza government.
That is the thing.
That's the idea.
Yes.
Then you create a perception that these guys have stolen the election. But now Kenya is a unitary state with a constitution, okay? With a constitutional democracy. The Supreme Court, which is the apex court that discusses and has the jurisdiction to discuss this, has told us on the television, these guys have told us hot air, and whatever they brought here, there was that Soweto. Madam Soweto brought us hot air. So whatever you did was just, like I remember the deputy CJ trying to connote the perception of the Kamba dialect, that this was a drama, and the video, yeah. So it was more of a play, folding before us. So the constitutional question has been settled on the matter of the presidential election. The President Ruto did not declare himself the president. He was declared by a constitution that is mandated to handle elections. As my colleague has said, the issue that happened in Bomas, we all saw what happened. Ahmed Nasser, a senior lawyer, a senior counsel, a friend to William Ruto, said, and referring to the Narok senator, Oneldama, that if Kenya was a country where the rule of law is so much respected, you would have been in prison because he was having rungu and running around. So what is that commission? That is to scare people within Azimio that if you continue this line, we will investigate, and then once you're liable for certain, prosecution, you will go to court and then you will go to jail.
Yes.
You cannot take away that. And it's a mechanism by government to tell people, toe the line. You remember the KRA thing with Jubilee? You have 2 billion,
yes.
1.5, 40 billion doing this. Government is so powerful that you cannot fight the state. The state is very powerful. Now that Kioni is coming with this all information, even if they waited anything, do you think the intelligence did not brief the president?
Okay, but much as you're saying that, Wakili, you said that there is that aspect of court of public opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, the Supreme Court did this part and we all agree to that. They say, it's final. But the court of public opinion as well will have their own predictions and, their own ruling.
But even in the court of opinion,
yes,
we have close to 7 million plus who voted for Ruto.
Yes.
6 plus voted for Raila. 8 million Kenyan did not vote. So even in the public opinion, we are divided.
Now, that is now where Raila is now targeted.
Yes.
Yeah. The undecided, the people who did not vote.
Yes.
How will it change the political landscape, Wakili?
The political landscape is going to change because we've seen Raila's soldiers go quiet. They even, we almost felt like they lost themselves. Once the success of today's meeting will give an impetus. We will a lot more see the leaders within rank of Azimio speaking with authority, because now once they come back in February, we are starting government and government activities start officially. So we will see a lot more political debates happening, a lot more checking, the checkmate aspect of government, which anyway the president has been saying, you check me. Now the checking has started. Yeah. So they are trying to lay a basis, and this is very timely for any political person to tell you that Raila must have calculated this timing so that it comes at the right time, so that it becomes the man of the hour, so that at the end of the day, people will be speaking him, he will give his people something to push government about, and government will always have something to defend themselves about.
Okay.
The tribunal is also resuming today.
Yes, exactly.
Against the IEBC. And the 3 other commissioners, including Chebukati, I think are going to appear today. So it's a timing that this tribunal, according to Azimio, is working against them. So how do you divide the attention of the country and say, people will be glued to the television watching these things or social media. So you create another narrative that people's mind say, oh, Kumbe Raila is also coming. But Kenya politics, as we know, is what we call auctioning of tribal arithmetics and deep, pockets.
Yes.
Ruto has the upper hand right now. Okay? He has the government, he has the appointment, okay? He has the state, power within himself. What he should do right now is to say, let's have people who will counter Raila on television. The government works in a very miraculous way, law.
Yeah.
So what you do now is, even the deputy president should go slow on the Odinga issues. We should have people the strategists. Remember, before election, we had Professor Kisigani on Citizen all the time, advancing the narrative of UDA. Now, we need other team to come to all televisions to drive the narrative of Kenya Kwanza and say, as much as the former Prime Minister has all these rights to picket and do this, this is what the government is doing. This is what is happening. And then the president, we say it in this show and other places, in journalism dictum, you don't say, you show.
You show.
Let, like Kibaki, the actions and the services and activities of Kenya Kwanza speak to us than ranting and electioneering mood. Remember, I told you we need to discuss the politics of economics.
Yeah.
Right now, the politics of election is gone. So the president should sit down and say, I have this country, I am a political animal, this is my experience, how do I make sure that, like today, last night, if you watch television, in Kenya, where parents were paying 1,000 to send their kids to school, they are paying 3,500. A book that costed 700 last term is 1,500. So cost has gone up by almost 150%. That is what should worry the president, not just responding to Raila all the time. There is a time Hasaras will ask President Ruto, did we respond to Raila all the time? Or we asked you to solve these issues that we have been grappling with the last 6 years? Kenyatta was talking about inequality, lack of clean water, food insecurity. 60 years down the line, we are still talking about those issues.
Okay.
And the population has gone,
Let's take a break, and we come back. We're going to circle back to the final end of this one. Time is running so fast when having a good conversation. But then Ruto said that Raila is being financed by the cartels. That's the coffee, tea, and milk. That's sensational.
Yeah, you throw a punch saying those people, the ones that are giving his government.
Wait a second. Where the problem
make
is.
them they look like the evil liar.
Yes,
exactly.
Against.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I still have got Wakili Gibson and Abdullahi in studio. We're going to talk about that. The cartels, bankrolling Raila Odinga. Let's just talk about that when we come back shortly.
Look, where...
Listen up. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Engine.
How do we hear? How do we see? What makes up the air we breathe? Let's go! Let's go! It's technology. Let's go! Let's grow! Science, you and me. Let's go! We're learning every day.
Let's ask, let's learn, and let's love. And don't forget to make it fun.
This is how we would meet again. Are you taking care of me? It turns out you're hurting me.
She's getting prettier and prettier. Anybody seeing the two of you will know immediately you're related. Join us.
Isn't this supposed to be a meal to celebrate my new job? Why would you start eating without me?
He's such a weirdo. Am I his guinea pig?
What do you want? I really need to speak with you. I have a question for you. Currently, I'm merely your subordinate. But can we be friends?
You want to come with me? Come on, get your horse. Let's go for a ride.
Is that an order?
No, Ruben, it's not an order. It's just...
But I'm sorry, but I have a lot of work to do over at the stable.
Excuse me, but you seem a little bit... well, strange. Is it because I was late?
It's not because you were late. It's okay.
Okay, then. I'll be right there. Now I will know who your lover is, Melina.
Hey! What do you want? Did you lose something? What is going on here?
I want to believe that what I'm thinking is a stupid idea, Sergio.
What's going on, Fabian?
What's going on? I'm going in, so move.
Welcome back. All right. We are still having some good time here in studio. Wakili is asking me to talk about his hometown. You know, Mbaria Secondary School. Wakili, we'll talk about that. I know you have all the bragging rights right now.
Yeah.
Okay, but then back to politics and talk about President Ruto said, even in that clip, he said that Raila is being bankrolled and financed by the cartels in the tea, coffee and milk sector. The question is where, the locality, the location where that statement was made. A place where it is quite close to the hearts of the people who are directly affected, Central Kenya, Kerugoya in Kirinyaga. When you look at that, Wakili,
no.
What do you read in that? The president was just in Nyanza last week, and yesterday was in Kirinyaga, and he made that statement.
You know, the president is a wise politician. When he goes to Nyanza, he knows what to speak to the people of Nyanza, because you got to be for you to actually be able to go the 5 years gone, you have to be a very smart politician, which he is. So when he's in Nyanza, he knows anytime he speaks something which does not appeal to people, stones will be coming, and you can't like it as the president to be stoned. I mean, Kenyatta was stoned. Moi a couple of times, yes. Moi a couple of times had it rough going to Nyanza. So there is Kibaki, of course, abstained totally. Kenyatta tried once in a while to go, but also not a very rosy one. But so he knows what to give to the people to actually touch their hearts. So in Central, the key things she was speaking about, the bankrolling, what is dear to these people is coffee. Coffee prices have really gone down over time. Tea prices have gone down over time. Milk prices have gone down over time. So it's like these cartels who are stealing from you are actually funding the opposition to fight us, so that we don't deliver on our promises to you, that we'll be able to ensure that these prices go up.
Yes.
So he's appealing to these people and making them, trigger them to say, now whatever these opposition people are saying, we don't want them, because they're in bed with the people who are stealing from us. Remember, the key role of government to ensure that the prices are up.
Yes.
Who are these cartels? Produce them. Why have you not charged them? You see, that is something which they are not telling us. But then you will have gone a political discussion. And then there was the debate that, you know, he goes to Nyanza, lodges projects, and then comes to pray. Now, he was trying to cover, of course, much as he's coming to pray, he's also speaking to something which is related to our pockets, because the Central people really mind about their pockets. The Nyanza people, not much, but they want to see government goodies, which he delivered to them.
Yes.
So he's actually trying to balance the political debate and ensure that he maintains his bases and keeps growing them by the day.
Abdi, look at it this way. Jeremiah Kioni came out and said there is a whistleblower from IBC. They did not name the person on IBC, but he said there is a dossier and this is it. The president went to Kirinyaga and said there are cartels. He did not name the cartels. So it's now a point of left giving right. You punch me, I punch back.
Well, I think if you look at even the diary of the president since he came to power, every Sunday or Saturday he was in a certain region. He does not want to leave Raila to Kenyans. He doesn't. He does not want to give Raila a chance for Ruto not to speak for a week. No, he should be there with something. So the people handling the diary of the president know what they're doing. They're dealing with a guy who was in government for the last 4 years. They're dealing with a guy who has been in opposition for most of his life. They're dealing with a guy who has fanatical following in the country, and a government that has Kioni. Kioni is the Secretary General of Jubilee. What is Jubilee today in Kenya? Jubilee is as good as dead. I mean, in this election, I don't think they will even get 10, 15 MPs. So right now, compare, you know, the Deputy President Gachagua, DG Nyoro, Mbarire, and Anne Waiguru. People who are very powerful in government right now. Anne Waiguru is the chair of the Council of Governors. We have Deputy President Gachagua handling certain works. Remember, there is a delegation. Remember the Deputy President, the assistant, to the President, so he is delegated duties. Already, he is handling some issues under his office. So he's a very busy man, unlike Ruto, where the government shifted to Raila. So you look at the people speaking on behalf of Jubilee or Azimio in Central, an ambassador, And let me tell you, I contested 3 times. When you don't, you're defeated. Because I don't think people who contest are losers. They are not losers. Losers are those who cannot contest. The people who contest are defeated.
Yeah.
You don't get the numbers. This guy gets more numbers than you. Now, when you leave election, there are 2 groups of people. There are people who go back to their business. There are people who go back to their skill sets and work as a consultant or something. And then there are people who are around offices. They have to get either a parastatal chairman, an ambassador somewhere, like that.
Yeah.
A company, he has maybe a business. So it is different for different people depending on their character, on how you come out. If you are a hardstone, then you accept that you are defeated. Life goes on. You pick up the pieces and go. So look at the people who are lobbying right now. Who did Gachagua meet on Thursday? He met elected leaders. But he said he's not going to forget about our brothers who lost the election, and we will also meet them. What is he going to tell them? He's going to tell them, look, if you want contract, come to me. If you want employment for your daughter, bring her to me. If you want a job somewhere, if you are retired and you are 60, you want a chairman somewhere, tutakutupa hapo. If you want ambassador, hata kwenda North Korea, tutakutuma huko. We kujeni. So there are a lot of goodies on his table. And I am sure the president and the deputy president wants to solidify. Because this guy got central, including the 8 counties, including Laikipia, Nakuru, and central Kenya. They produce close to 50% of the government. So he wants to take that higher. So the Kionis and the Jubilees, Kanini was there. And Kanini Gega won because Kenya Kwanza supported him, isn't it? So what do you think he's going to, his loyalty is going to shift? Even Chege, Sabina Chege, very soon you'll be seeing her sitting behind the president and saying, we have a country, we have to run, we cannot be fighting, let's continue.
All right. So Wakili, at the end of the day, Raila is going to speak. Let's wait and see how it's going to pan out. Of course, that's happening late in the day. But reports also has it that Deputy President is also planning to meet Azimio-affiliated MPs.
Yes.
We have got Kamkunji happening here and Deputy President meeting Azimio-affiliated MPs. A catch-22 situation.
Yes, because that is what politics is. Much as you are trying to lay an attack on me, I'm also trying to attack for your base. I'm also trying to steal from your plate. And as you are going to make those statements, I'll also be declaring that these people have moved to my side. Of course, taking away your credibility that your house is not in order. So it's a political counter, which of course I think they have seen. The political checkmate game is well under life. And now I think as Kenyans we need to be wary, because this is what we've been having for the last 10 years, that after election immediately we start talking about politics and then we lose the ball on development. So the president and his team really needs to move in strongly and assuage the Kenyans that, much as we are doing this engagement or tug of war with politics, we are still delivering on our promises. That is very key to Kenyans at this particular point.
All right. Gentlemen, I think we have to leave it at that and, of course, talk about something that is quite close to our hearts, of course. 2 months after break, 2020, 2021, 2022, now COVID happened and schools now go back to its normal calendar. But the exam that was released last week has left many people talking. When you look around now, students are reporting back to school. But your hometown, Nyamira, is talk of the town. What's happening in Nyambaria?
Nyambaria, what people actually don't know, that Nyambari is a national school.
Exactly, yes.
Yes, that's what
and
people...
Performance is,
and their performance is not something we just came to the fore. They have been performing highly, even actually they've been leading in the KCSE region, the former Nyanza region. Their score has been so high, it's only that it has never led nationally. So this was their time. Some other aspect which, of course, we need to inform Kenyans is that the former principal Miranda, the one who brought Miranda from the unknown to the known, is actually the former principal right now of Nyambaria. So his education workmanship or managerial skills came to play.
But generally speaking, I know that's something that my colleague is going to talk about in the next segment, but we all went through this 844 system, but then now a situation where a different school has A's all over, from a mean score of 5 to 9 or even to 10. Abdullahi, I don't know how it happened in
It was C plain. In 2021, it was C+. Today, it's B-. So there's been, you can't say they just cheated. There's a guy called Mahat, who is the young headmaster, who brought changes. Remember, the school's head will determine what happens in that school. It's now number 1 out of 59 schools. Remember, we have national schools, extra county schools, and then county schools. Ramudimto Boys is a county school, but it has beaten extra county and national. That is Mandara Secondary School, Sheikh Ali, Boy Girls, all of them. So what happens is this: I was in the school when I was campaigning, and I was partly volunteering to teach English literature. Now, what happens in that school is the headmaster said there is no going out. Unless you are permitted to go, there is no stepping out of this compound. So what did he do? There are 10 BOM and TSC teachers.
Yes.
Most of them are from down Kenya. So what he did is he built houses for them. They have sleeping there. He gave them free food, so they're earning their salary. So what happens is this: the teachers have nowhere to go. They're getting free food and they're getting free housing.
So you're motivated
no,
to work.
They're always there at night.
All right.
You see?
Okay.
So that is what needs to happen to these schools, that head teachers must bring measures that are very practical, involving the children, that you came here to build your future.
Yes.
This is what we are going to help you, but this is how we are going to do it.
Okay.
But cheating, we'll talk about it.
All right, gentlemen, I had to bring, because my colleague Ram is going to talk about that in the next segment. Of course, it's a discussion that many people have been talking about over the last few days. And of course, the pressure is on the Minister of Education and even the school heads and teachers as well to maintain that kind of standard in the coming year. And the schools, which performed better, or the best schools nationally, the pressure is on you to maintain that. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming to the show. We're talking to Gibson Gesore, who's an advocate of the High Court and a political analyst. Always pleasure having you on the show, as well as Abdullahi Ahmed, who is a politician, by the way. He'll tell us what happened. With a lot of years of experience in politics, he's also a political commentator. Thank you so much for coming over to the show.
Thank you.
And you, the viewer, thank you so much for being with us. Let's take a break. Ramaguko with that issue of education. You don't have to go anywhere. Stick around. We'll be right back with more. Good morning.
Hata sina idea mtu wangu, sina idea. Sina idea. Cyber hygiene, I don't know.
What is the word?
Kusafisha memory labda.
Cyber hygiene.
Cyber hygiene, it's just basically free use of the internet without any risks or stuff like that.
I don't know the meaning exactly of cyber hygiene, but at least I can get something out of cyber.
Is how well you handle your cyber space, I could call it, how well you interact with your socials.
It's all about the safeness of internet.
Stuff to do with cyberbullying.
I think it's
these are good practices that we practice so as to secure our cyberspace.
Keeping the internet clean, in literal terms, yeah.
Protecting yourself from the cyber crimes and stuff.
The frequent maintenance of user information in a database.
Yeah. How strong is your pastor? A strong 5. 8.
I believe 5.
10.
I'd say a 7.
I think it's 8 over 10.
I'll give it a 2.
Can give it a 7.
6. Yeah. Because I think if someone knows me well, they can think it.
Okay, I have a bad memory, so I tend to set a password that my memory can easily remember.
Because I've never experienced somebody hacking my account.
Because I'm being protected. My ICT expert.
So I share near Instagram. That's what I share. But others I don't, so that's why it's an hit.
Because I've not followed the guidelines passwords should take so that it can become strong.
On a serious note, I forget all my passwords. Sijui aki. Because when I make a password, I just save it on Google and I forget about it. So if I don't know it, how would you know it? Labda Google only hack.
Because it consists of underscores.
I can't lick that.
32.
Why would I know? No, just in Aishana 1. In Aishana 1. Hadi hakuna haja because I don't have money.
Cyber hygiene, Kenya nakuja kwa akili yangu ni mambo ya kusecure my online accounts, kitu kama hiyo.
According to HelpNet Security, cyber risks top worldwide business concerns in 2022. Our devices become exposed when in use privately, when we are connected to cyber cafe or other devices.
When we were all small, our mothers told us, when you go to the bathroom or before you eat food, wash your hands. COVID came, we all learned we have to wear our masks, we need to sanitize or wash our hands and social distance, 6 feet apart. That's what cyber hygiene is. These are the best practices that you do as part of your regular routine every time you go online so that they keep you safe online.
When we practice cyber hygiene, we protect confidentiality of our devices, which means no unauthorized access. Online harassment is a major vice that takes place on cyberspace. The most vulnerable groups include children, people with disability, and women journalists.
There is a whole week that I had been harassed online a lot. And every day when I went to radio in the morning, I would say, what have you posted online today? What are you sharing today? Okay? And I replied back and I said, if you go to my Facebook page, there is this, have you seen it? People have said 1, 2, 3 about me. Do you believe that? And I would say, and I would call out names and say, like so and so, I don't know you. I have never met you. Where are you getting this information about me to talk online and to share with the whole world about me?
I was telling people that I, as a blind person, I stayed in the darkness during COVID for 3 days. And then in the post, as I was reading what was posted in social media sites, because they took the story from one of the local media houses, people were asking, how did this blind person know that he needs power? So people are very ignorant.
Sasa zingine maybe umekubali friend request sababu unaona mtu usini mutual friend wa watu wangu, meaning that now watu vile najua ni watu genuine, so unaikubali. The being that okay ni wewe una Iran, utapata by the end of the day umerushiwa news hapo hivyo, vitu umerushiwa hapo hivyo ni vitu hazifai.
Online bullying feels permanent. People should know that once something is out there, it will always be out there.
Children are growing up into a space where they're competing with the digital world and wondering, getting curious about it from a very early age. So I think the role of the parent is to immerse the child in a healthy way. So everything you post about your child when they're still young is actually going to stay there a while. Everything that your child posts about themselves is going to stay there a while.
Kenya ICT Action Network offers training on digital security and has also created created resources that educate the public on how to stay safe online. If you want to stay safe in the cyberspace, there are cyber hygiene practices that everyone can at least apply. First, ensure your private information remains private and is protected. Install a tracker for your devices and keep all your credentials safe, including password and bank details. Secondly, you need good maintenance habits. Do not install too many apps. Install trusted apps. Additionally, use the right charger devices and maintain regular cleanup or formatting. Thirdly, you must practice good judgment. We say, before any action, you need to stop, think, check. Always discern what is false from what is true. You need to distrust strange emails, messages, and calls until verified. Fourthly, practice safe behaviors. This involves remaining sensitive about what you post and how you behave or react to other people's posts or information. Never share unverified content.
You know, people hurry about sharing breaking news and forget about sharing the correct news. Take some time to verify. You may be late in breaking a story, but you are better off breaking the correct story. Okay? Because sometimes even saying unspecified sources or we could not reach the source, it doesn't help. You have already caused damage.
And if you have used public Wi-Fi, do not use your devices for money transactions. Consider using your mobile bundles, as this is safer.
We want that free Wi-Fi, which is okay when you're trying to do your regular things, but make sure you have complied with cyber hygiene best practices, where you switched off your discoverability. You can use a firewall, a virtual private network, a VPN to secure you when you're in these places. However, if you can't get access to all of these things, and you must still use that free Wi-Fi, because we all know, we all need to use it. Don't use it for sensitive information. If you're doing a banking transaction, applying for government documents, doing your tax returns, anything sensitive, you rather buy bundles.
After the clients have finished doing whatever they were doing, I usually encourage them to log off to keep their credentials safe. Even though after using the cyber, some don't log off, I usually take it at a personal level to log them off.
In a case where you have a person living with disability or are facing certain limitations in regards to sight or any other physical challenge, you may need assistive tools to help you stay safe.
There's a program which has visual disabilities and persons with sensory disability, let's say persons with autism, who communicate with non-verbal language, or persons who are deaf-blind, who might need tactile mode of communication in the country, and which is beyond reach from the persons who are accessing it.
When cyberbullying occurs, the nasty posts, messages, or texts can be shared with multitudes of people within a short time.
Every day, somebody wakes up to put content online, and every day a hacker is waking up to try and figure out, how can I hack this? What does that mean? Stop posting pictures of your baby naked, right? Somebody will make fun of them at some point in time, later on in life. It doesn't spare anybody, right? It doesn't spare their dog, it doesn't spare the child. Bullies bully.
The law is still playing catch-up with technology in different parts of the world, and Kenya is no exception.
When it comes to this Computer Misuse Act, we act now, all the litigation has come to a standstill. It's operationalized. But Do our prosecutors have the capacity to prosecute new law? Because don't forget, cyber law is not our traditional law. Our traditional criminal law could not apply in cyberspace, which is why we had to come up with the cyber crime law. Parents need to pay a lot of attention. The Communications Authority of Kenya has child online safety programs. They have child online safety games called Cyber Soldiers, which children can download to learn child safety awareness. If you suspect something is happening, please report it. Report it to KCSE. They even have an app which you can download on Android or iOS, which makes reporting very easy for these child online things or any cybercrime that's out there.
Cyber hygiene is everyone's responsibility, which means that while organizations need to prioritize cyber hygiene, so must individual users.
What is cyber hygiene?
Hata sina.
We are officially conducting an inquest into the undercover operation dubbed Hidden Leaf. Tukisuspect wewe ama Sergeant Omwami cause failure to this mission, there will be repercussions.
Tumepata changamoto kwa mipango yetu, lakini jitku ukusodra.
Kurumu imane.
Mardo na kuhakikisha.
Mardo maakawada.
Hii mission ni classified. Hakuna mtu atajua. Only mimi na DIG.
If they need him alive, then we need him dead.
Jamaa, wamekuwa nani ndo waze kutupatia.
Kama maiti itatulipa. Unaona maiti kifufuka. Ujaicheki?
I know you're worried about him. Boys and their dads. Did I say something wrong?
Matters ni ati umerudi kazi. Kama kuna mtu anaweza kulainisha hii kampuni ni wewe.
Ambia mama hivyo.
Hiyo ni ukweli. She would do a perfect job.
Kisiva Drops will have to go on, even without our dear Melissa. So, please join me in welcoming our latest addition to the company, my daughter Zawadi.
Ngima tegas kabwatu tegu. Ngima te yatmu bulel dang. Ngima te mangue. Nyange tina. Lale lale yo kimi giba genge. Lale yo Kitut FM gigosi. Lale yo Kitut FM gigosi. FM gigosi. 98.0 Kitut FM gigosin.
All right, thank you so much for sticking with us. We proceed and continue with this morning show right here on KBC Channel 1. This is Good Morning Kenya. My name is Ram Maguko. It's a pleasure being with you. And of course, you're just for the next conversation of today, as Victor Olo just mentioned a bit earlier on, concerning education today. But first things first, even before we get into the nitty-gritties right here, it is back to school today after 2 years of the COVID pandemic striking the country, where our education system was affected. Today, the school calendar resumed and we are looking at normalcy. How are parents feeling? I'm seeing many parents complaining about the highest cost in terms of fees. Well, we'll be talking about that as we reflect on the KCSE performance. The results were released on Friday by CS Machogu. What are your thoughts in regards to that, with allegations of cheating and whatnot? We shall be talking about all of that in a bit. To help us in this discussion, ladies and gentlemen, next to me, I am with James Ngaru Kamau. He is an educationist, the director of PCEA Dandora Community Center, and the principal of PCEA Faith Girls Schools. And to my far right, I am with Bernard Wandera, director, Cherish Watoto Kenya. That is Bernard Wandera, director of Cherish Watoto Kenya. Gentlemen, karibuni sana.
Asante.
Thank you so much for finding time to join me.
Thank you.
And I don't know if it is too late to say Happy New Year. But let's start on the matters concerning back to school. It's back to school today, and we are seeing parents, yesterday there was this last minute rush. Supermarkets were packed, long queues at bookshops, uniforms being bought yesterday. I was seeing even many supermarkets trying to, close, struggling to close down, to close shop yesterday. Your thoughts in regards to that, James, as you give your opening remarks? It's now back to school today.
Happy New Year, viewers. It's really a pleasure to be here to discuss on those important matters that touches on our education. I think it's a culture that we need to check on as Kenyans, because it's all about this last minute rush. You find that there are many instances when we are called upon to act and act in good time, but for some reasons we do not do that, and then at the last minute we are all rushing to accomplish what we should have been able to accomplish. So I think this last minute rush may not really be as a result of the reasons of lack of funds or such, but it is more of our Kenyan culture of doing things the last minute that we need to work on. Yes,
we need to work on that.
Yes.
But parents are complaining about school fees, Bernard. They're complaining about school fees, that you know what, the cost of uniforms, the prices of textbooks are so high. School fees also very high. They're struggling. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good morning, viewers. I think we have a big issue with inflation, and mostly inflation is affecting everything. And so you find transport, there is an increase, a small percentage, transport of goods, materials, and so each and everyone is hiking prices a little bit, and in turn this will affect everything. So it is I think the government should do something in terms of taxes, so that our living standards can maintain a bit lower. But I think the big problem, even with the rush and everything, also some business people take advantage of it because they know now demand is high. People need uniforms, transport, those who are traveling to schools in upcountry, because people see there is a big demand, and so they also tend to hike prices. But the big issue has been also inflation, which has affected each and everyone. And immediately the taxes are raised up, it will also affect a lot of things, including the businessmen. And what they will do in turn is to put that cost on parents, put that cost on teachers. And when you are going to buy textbooks, you find also publishers have also done the same thing. So I think it's an all-round thing that the government need to look into. by lowering taxes. Otherwise, with the increased taxes, our life standards will continue to go up.
And then we are going to see heads of schools like the both of you complaining parents are not clearing the school fees. And then children are sent home for that matter. But the school calendars we are seeing normalcy.
We are glad that there is now normalcy. We've passed through condensed calendar and things have been difficult. You find, for example, at Cherish Watoto Kenya, we support orphaned and vulnerable children, and also with scholarship in primary school and also in scholarship with high schools and universities. And it has been hard. You find you are paying school fees after every 2 months, and you know, even our sponsorship, our source of funding is still the same. We've really struggled, and I know this has touched all the parents across the country. As the calendar returned to normalcy, I think my plea is that we could be able to reach an amicable solution with parents, get to understand them, and just look at how, you know, we can be, if we have parents who have balances, how they can be able to pay, maybe reach an agreement. But the best and important thing is to have children continue to be in class and not sent home because of school fees.
You're taking regards to the concerns that have been raised by some of the education stakeholders. You're looking at the JSS also students, coming back to school, lack of adequate space in our institutions, the high cost of the CBC curriculum. You're looking at teachers training, all these concerns about inadequacy, classrooms, are they enough? Do you see, even as you're talking about the school calendar, resuming back to normalcy, that everything will be streamlined, regardless of all these challenges that you're facing?
I think I totally agree with my brother on those issues that he has raised concerning the economic situation in our country. And what I may want to say is that we appreciate that the new curriculum is a good thing. By and eventually is going to be a very, very smart idea for this country. But as a matter of fact, these are going to be transitional challenges. The lack of space, the lack of infrastructure cannot be there to remain forever. So I think it's good to take it positively and come up with modalities on how we can work out on those solutions, so those challenges that we are experiencing during this transitional period. Because if there are no classes, for instance, in a particular school, that cannot be something that will remain forever. There should be modalities of raising money and resources to have that put in place. So what I would say is that for JSS, the junior secondary school, the lack of facilities, yes, it is there. It's a challenge, but it's a transitional problem that we'll be able to solve by and by. Yes.
I think as we transition to junior secondary, the big thing is that have we first prepared teachers? Because we hear even in government schools they are talking about hiring new teachers, and most of the teachers being hired, they have passed through the old curriculum.
Are you talking about the staffing, the number of teachers, or the training of those that are existing?
Actually, training of the existing teachers, because they are going to handle a class that has been in competency-based curriculum. And how are we able to continue that? Because we had grade 6 last year, and this year we have grade 7. So that is our first class of CBC. And the teachers who are going to teach them are mostly the teachers who have been teaching old curriculum. Maybe they are going to be placed from other public schools, or maybe some who are fresh from college, but have they been able to be taught about new curriculum? Because they are going to receive a class that has been passed through new curriculum. So that is an issue, because they are going to receive children, but will that kind of methodology work with them? So the government will have worked earlier, maybe recruited teachers earlier, and then taken them for training, so that by this time when junior secondary school is resuming, by that time teachers are trained and they are ready to receive children. But otherwise there are a lot of gaps. You find even in some of schools, actually most of schools, they don't have a science lab. laboratory, and then they are going to have practicals that are ongoing on daily basis. How will these children be able to catch up with those kind of practicals? So there are a gap somewhere.
Allow me to put you on the spot.
Yes.
How is the status of your school? Are you still facing the same challenges of spacing, staffing, and training?
Yeah, the status of our school, yeah, we have also the same category of teachers, though we've tried as much as we can to bring in facilitators to train them on competency-based curriculum, and most of facilitators have been coming to enlighten our teachers. But in terms of a science lab, is also something we have space, yes, but it's something that we are setting up. There are no apparatus, there are no equipment needed, and when we are starting classes, that means children will be disadvantaged because we have to reach out to well-wishers to support us equip the room.
Do you have the labs?
We have the lab, we have the room.
For you, Mr. James, how is your school?
Yeah, for my situation, I'm glad that the president actually did agree to the fact that junior secondary can share facilities with the secondary schools. So in my case, I have a secondary school in place, and we do have a modern lab with all the well-equipped lab that also be used by the GSS. Yeah.
All right. I want us to tackle the issue at hand, and this is in regards to the KCSE results that were just released on Friday. Yeah. On Friday, and questions have emerged in regards to the credibility of these exams, and we will get into that. This year, we are looking at the high number of KCSE candidates qualifying for university. 173,345 obtained C+ and above. They qualified for transitioning into the university. First things first, your take about the overall performance of these students as we talk about matters concerning how generally how they did it. And of course, Fadhili, you give me that clip in regards to that performance, and then we get your take in regards to that, the overall performance. Of course, this is a clip that was filed by our news team that was on the ground on the overall performance of the KCSE examinations.
Friday morning at Mitihani House in Nairobi County, Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Machogu released the 2022 Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education results for the 881,416 candidates. Just as was the case when the 2022 KCPE results were released, the top candidate and school was not revealed. The Education CS highlighting that there was an improvement in the number of candidates that obtained the C+ and above minimum requirement to join university compared to 2021.
The number of candidates with minimum university entry qualification of grade C+ and above has risen to 173,345, forming 19.03% in the year 2022, compared to 145,776, which was 17.55% in 2021.
There were 190 candidates with special needs who managed C+ and above. In the 2022 examinations, 1,146 candidates obtained an overall grade of A, an increase from 1,138 reported in 2021. The number of those who scored A- stood at 6,407, B+ 15,682, B plain 31,303, B- 48,719, C+ 70,088.
Yeah, and that is the performance of the KCSE results. And as we talk about this, we'll be displaying that those particular grade performance on our screen. James, let me put you on the spot now. What you take in regards to the results that were just released?
Okay. Thank you. For every student who prepares for the examination, obviously would want to be able to achieve the highest grade ever. At the same time, we have the Kenya National Examination Council that is mandated to administer this examination. And for the sake of last year, we know that the Kenya National Examination Council did their work, and also using the multi-agency approach, that is like the Ministry of Interior, the chiefs were very much involved, and of course the security personnel, and all measures were actually put in place to ensure that cheating doesn't happen. And for the entire period when the examination was on, I think as a nation, we never got any information as regards any kind of malpractices that may have happened in the country. However, the kind of results that have turned out to be are very suspicious, So mine, I would say that we call up on the government to probably investigate this more. We need to know a little more what may have actually happened. I think you have seen in the media some of the revelations that are now coming out, and they're not things that can actually be ignored. So it's always a fact that whoever alleges must be able to prove. But I think at this juncture, it is very, very important for the stakeholders to dig a little deeper to know the truth of this, because these results are the ones that forms the foundation of the careers that we're going to have as a nation.
My question is it that we expect our students to always fail? That we expect them so that the day they pass, you'll be like, no. I'm going to quote what the CS said, CS Machogu. He said this: let us wait for the 2023 examinations and ensure our children work hard. Propaganda will not help us. If today you are number one and tomorrow you are not, it means you must work smart. Today results will be different from tomorrow.
Yes.
And Victor Olo had a guest who gave us the results for a particular school in Mandera on how the trajectory was overall. It was climbing up the ladder. Why is this one such a shocker?
First, I think I have to appreciate all the learners. They did their best, and they tried within that short time, because we had a condensed calendar. I think also teachers did their best in ensuring that children perform. But as my friend is saying, we also have issues, because when CS Matiang'i was in charge of education, we could see, I think things were a bit moderated. And even finding an airplane was an issue. You could go across the country just to find a small number of students who had airplane. But look at, and then CS Magoha came in. I think things were a bit tight. And then we feel that, the last year's exam, I think we had many students scoring an A. Look at this fact of almost 900 out of 1,100 A's, 900 almost and 40 something came from KCSE and Nyamira County.
Of which we will talk about those KCSE. but see, you've mentioned about this. You've mentioned the CSS.
Yeah.
One fact is, CS Machogu was appointed recently.
Yeah.
The results we're seeing, are they his results or the results of the previous CS?
Actually, they are results of previous years.
The previous years?
Yeah, but there could be a gap. From the time one CS is exiting and another one coming, also inside there are some cartels who would like to, make good use of that opportunity because of transition. And, if things are not tightened during that transition, that is where we have this kind of gaps. So students did their best. However, we feel there were gaps maybe, though there were security apparatus as the chief, we had the police helping, and then we had also at school level, I think the principal also helping there. But something that we need to ask ourselves, was there a gap and maybe students accessed exams before? Though we cannot prove, because we don't have any case in court that has been forwarded that you are found in malpractices, but it's something that can be investigated.
And as a matter of fact, irregularities this time were fewer than the previous year.
Yes. Yeah, irregularities were very few than previous year, and but results are good. So is it a fact that children or students did well? And when we are looking at this year result, compared to, let's say, 2016, when we had about 145 A's across the country, are we saying that, you know, this year we had very, very bright students? Yeah. More brighter compared to other years. Otherwise, you know, our performance has always been average. Yes, there is room for improvement, but the performance has always been average.
I can say this year they tried. They worked harder. Yeah. Principals were transferred from schools from one school to another.
Yeah,
and I think the principal of Miranda.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, because of this year's performance, does that mean that maybe when we work under pressure, that is when we can perform?
Exactly. James, your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
because this time around there was a lot of pressure concerning the curriculum.
Yeah, because of the very short terms.
Yes.
I think I agree with what my brother is saying, and it's not really true that if the students do well, then we say they have cheated. Supposing it was the other way around, and we had no student, or about 10 students who scored a grade A, again there would be a hue and cry.
Yes.
So basically, it's just about seeing things in a way that doesn't raise any suspicion. But I think what probably I may recommend is that the ministry needs to demystify the process of marking and processing of results, because that is something that as a common mwananchi doesn't really understand. You only know the students have sat the examination, the next day the results are being released. But what are the process that happens in between? The time the examinations are done and the time the results are released.
I want us to look at the gender in terms of differences, gender performance. Male students outshine their female counterparts. 875 males attained grade of A. And in the female side, only 271. Your take on that? Is that a point of concern?
Yeah, yes, I think to me I would see that as a point of concern. If you look at the disparity of those top grades between the male and the female child, I mean, it raises some concerns. We have been having a lot of advocacy on the issue of gender, and especially in favor of the girl child. I know today we have so many areas that you have seen the girl child doing better than the boy child. But then when you come to these top scores, I think I may not really understand what is this that makes the girl IQ not so effective as to match the boy child.
That of the boy.
Yes.
And even as we look into that, I want us to take a look at this particular report that was filed by our news team.
The 2022 KCSE examination, 443,644 were male, while 437,772 were female, representing 50.33% and 49.69% of the total candidature, respectively. This statistic means the country has achieved gender parity in much the same way as we have done at the primary school level.
14 counties had more than female candidates in the examinations compared to 17 counties in 2021. These are Mombasa, Kilifi, Tana River, Lamu, Turkana, Samburu, West Pokot, Kajiado, Narok, Homa Bay, Migori, Garissa.
Look at that, James. Look at that.
Yeah.
Is that a point of concern for you, Bernard?
Yeah, it's a point of concern, but I think one thing we should laud ourselves as a country, that we are giving a girl child an opportunity to go to school, and we are putting structures and mechanisms for them to be protected so that they can all equally access education just like a boy child. Looking at the population is almost, 50-50, because we're looking at 50 point and 49 points, so it's almost at 50-50, the rate between boys and girls. But in terms of performance, I think for a girl child, there are key factors and key issues that are contributing to their performance. For example, we have cultural issues. Let's say you find in other counties, maybe girls are given a lot of chores to work at home, and some of the boys, maybe they are using that that opportunity to sit down and read. So if we could give them the same level playground, I think in future our girls will be able to perform. But that opportunity we've given them, I think they are making good use of it. If you look at performance in terms of ease, you will realize actually boys had many E's than girls. So that means girls had average performance because they were not in many E's, and also they were not in many A's. So they were just, you know, at the center there. Right. And I think it's something to appreciate.
You've mentioned a very good thing here, because if you look at the number of male students, 875 males scoring A, 271 females scoring an A. You've mentioned a very good point there about the grades. A minus, 4,445 males, 1,962 females. You look at that, James.
Yeah.
Look at that. Let's go to the next one. And if you look at these particular results, you will see that the males are doing better in all grades. 9,578 males, 6,104 females. These are the ones that scored a grade of B+. And you will give me your thoughts in regards to how this, what this mean overall, looking at the future, because this is the future of the country. 70,783 males scored B, and females scored, who scored B, 13,520. Still, the males are leading.
Okay.
A very key issue there. James, I see you want to say something there. Those are just examples, a few examples.
Yeah, I think I want to concur with what my brother has said. I have taught, I've been in schools where we had the boys' schools and also girls' schools, and I think the statistics you're seeing there are very accurate, that in terms of retaining of academic knowledge, and boys basically do better than girls. And I think girls have to handle quite a number of challenges that comes along their way during their school times. For instance, he's talked about cultural issues, the kind of roles and duties that girls have to do at home. And especially like in a day school setting, in the evening when a girl and a boy goes home, what are the duties that are there for a girl to do? What are the duties that are there for the boy to do?
It means this is as just a reflection on how we have prioritized our boys as opposed to the priority given to the girls.
Correct.
As a society, it means that these are a mirror image.
Secondly, I think I also want to say that there are times the girl child have to go through certain issues, you know, in their lives. The issues of monthly periods and what have you, which sometimes keep the girls off the class for a day or two, and that puts the boy at an advantage. So the girl might have to miss out on some days in the class, and the boy is there very comfortably keeping on with the rest of the work. And again, during these particular times, the girls also go through some very emotional periods, such that even maybe they are being attentive in class is compromised, and that could be now what you're seeing in these figures.
I think even if you check some of the schools actually that also performed well, you will find in terms of overall performance, for example, like Nyambaria High School, Kadolo Tunga.
That is on in Kisii.
Yeah, and then Kokoro Boys going with 10.68, and then from there, after 3 boys school, we're now talking about Asumbi Girls coming in, and we have St. Paul's Igonga coming with 10.24, and more boys school. You find maybe in top 10 we have only 1 girls school. And I think what we could do is just to provide the same level playing field, and as he said, as James said, for example, in a case of a day scholar, assume maybe you have 2 children and both of them are day scholars. One is a girl, another one is a boy. You'll find maybe a girl gets home earlier because of, you know, either security issues, and the boy remained at school to continue with some classes, maybe for private studies, and maybe the boy comes back home at almost 7:38, and the girl arrived at almost 6. So by the time the girl had arrived, the boy was sitting down reading, and those are because of security issues. Apart from that, they get home, girls have a lot of chores. Why did the girl arrive early? The girl arrived early because they were supposed to be cooking dinner, and they were supposed to be washing plates. So if we have those kind of children at our homes, I think we could provide a level playing field for all of them, that this is time for all of you guys to arrive. This is the time all of you are reading, and I think we'll continue to see our girls doing well. And as he said, James also said about menstrual processes, and that affects them even emotionally.
Even considering the fact that in some counties, we still have conversations of lack of sanitary towels.
Yes, and lack of sanitary towels will mean, girls are not going to school. Where are they? Where are the boys when girls are not going to school? They're in class reading, and then you cannot weigh the kind of performance. So it will be definitely different.
Maybe one more thing.
Yeah.
Is also, what's the motivation behind what I'm doing? Motivation here, I mean, what is this? That's a driving force. When we're young and growing, the challenges that that defined our upbringing. Define the kind of how a hard-working boy you are, or a girl.
Yeah.
So in this case, boys have to know that the gender male is the head of the family. He is the provider. I mean, I must be able to work very hard so that I am able to rank up that.
The motivation behind it.
The motivation behind it. But the girl is not so highly motivated as the boy.
You're making me want to ask so many questions about that. Then are you saying the girls are focused on other things apart from class? But we need to wrap it up. And I want to ask you just one final question. You are teachers and at the same time parents.
Yeah.
I want you to talk to Kenyan parents watching you today. We have just talked about the KCSE performance, reflections, and we've talked about all these things. Yet, talk to that particular parent that has their child who has just finished or concluded their KCSE. What would be your advice to them now that they have, finished their secondary? What next? Advise that Kenyan parent watching you today as we bring this conversation to a close, having a final word. Let me start with you, Bernard.
I've had an opportunity to interact with the lecturers, my brother, my friends also are lecturers, and I think the big concern out there is the kind of students we are transitioning from high school to university, and then from university or colleges to marketplaces. You find some of them even lack idea. They can't practice what they were taught in class.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that is a big question. So for a child who was a student who has graduated from that level, you are looking for an opportunity to go to the next level. My plea to you is that please go and gain practical skills. That will help you a lot in future. But the issue of cheating in exams, the issue of you just there, I think is a thing of the past.
All right.
This is opportunity for you to get practical skills. They will be very helpful for you in future.
Thank you so much, Bernard.
Yeah.
And let me come to you. Advice to parents whose kids have just finished their KCSE.
Yes, my fellow parent, because I'm also a parent in as much as I'm a teacher. C.S. Mashogu did say that every student has a place, regardless of the grade the student got. So now you have your son, you have your daughter at home with the grade he or she got, whether an A, whether a B, whether a D, or even whether an E. That child also has a place. We do have the TVET institutions for those who got lower grades, and we have our universities, and I'm sure the Kenya universities and colleges placement services are working in placing the students. So my advice to the parents is, let not that be the end of the academic journey of your son or daughter. Take that child to an institution so that they can be able to learn some skills that will help them in career development.
Asante sana. And of course, that is Mr. James Ngaru and Bernard Wandera. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming and being part of this discussion.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And of course, that is what brings us to the end of this conversation concerning the KCSE performance reflections. What is your take in regards to this? Keep engaging with us. My name is Ram Maguko. We are taking a short break, but we continue with more of Good Morning Kenya after this break. Thank you for sticking with us. This is Good Morning Kenya.
Let's learn and let's love. And don't forget to make it fun.
This is how we would meet again. Are you taking care of me? It turns out you're hurting me.
She's getting prettier and prettier. Anybody seeing the two of you will know immediately you're related. Join us.
Isn't this supposed to be a meal to celebrate my new job?
Why would you start eating without me? He's such a weirdo. Am I his guinea pig?
What do you want? I really need to speak with you. I have a question for you. Currently, I'm merely your subordinate. But can we be friends?
Abantu ba Minto Mbuyamole. Your favorite KBC station, Minto FM, is now at your doorstep. Enjoy the hottest KC music, informative and entertaining shows, and reliable news only on Minto FM. Tune in to Minto FM on 91.7 FM in Nyamira, Kisii, and its environs. Minto FM
Barama te barikena na mekena kawakapu.
Kwani wewe ana shida gani?
Ebu relax. Wewe umeniambia ni kubaya, bahali yake anakimbia, wewe pia unakimbia. Mnakimbia nini?
Mwicha leo. Mwicha.
Nini kimefanyika? Sasa
atuachi.
Hands up. Yo. You are arrest.
Angalia huyo vizuri, angalia mrembo vizuri, angalia msichana. Umemwona wapi?
Mimi si tu huyu mama.
Mimi ni mamako, hauna adabu hata kidogo.
Mogoga. Hii hapa unaona? Yani ni keki, ugali mgoga.
Unacho usuli wa ugali ni mocha, vitamini zake yani unacho ni kitu imekombiniwa pamoja, haina cholesterol, hainone.
We are officially conducting an inquest into the undercover operation dubbed Hidden Leaf. Tukisuspect wewe ama Sergeant Omwami cause failure to this mission, there will be repercussions.
tumepata changamoto kwa mipango yetu, lakini jitku ukusojira
kurumu imane
mardo na kuhakikisha
mardo maakawada.
Hii mission ni classified, hakuna mtu atajua, only mimi na DIG.
If they need him alive, then we need him dead.
Jamaa wamekuwa nani ndo waze kutupatia hizo order?
Now, in line with the Kenya Demographic Health Survey report that was released last week on Tuesday, with really quite an array of issues that were profiled in this particular report, but we just look at one component of this specific report, and that is in respect to infidelity, where we are as a country, and better yet, how to navigate and just make a better society. This is what you're set to converse with my guest, Pastor Dr. Alice Namu, who is a marriage counselor. Daktari, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
I just want us to latch on this conversation by looking at some of those statistics that were released by the Kenyan National Bureau of Statistics. I mean, in respect to in a lifetime, when it particularly comes to a man, we're looking at 7 partners. You know, that is in a lifetime. And for women, this is 2. Again, just tying down to what was released. From your practice,
yes,
why is this?
Now, allow me to say this, that right from the beginning, even if we quote what is written in the Bible, now there is this infidelity, or we can call it like that because of this man who was called Solomon, who had even concubines. And then we go again to the New Testament, where we find that we have this Samaritan woman who was at the well. And Jesus told her that even the 5th one that you have is still not yours. So this is not news, or it's not something that we're hearing for the first time, or it is not something that is happening for the first time. But I want to say that infidelity, or generally cheating in relationships, because you not only cheat in marriage, you can also cheat in a relationship. I will say that there are few things that have affected these things right from the time when we did not even know Jesus, when we did not even receive the missionary teachings, when we did not even go to school. So there are so many things that have contributed to the rise of infidelity. And one thing that people must understand is that the first thing that will have these numbers rise is, number one, that someone gets into marriage or into a relationship and you come to realize that you chose the wrong partner.
How is that possible?
Now, that is very possible, because in the time of choosing a partner, and there is this saying that we always say, that in the time of fishing, you can fish so many, you kiss so many, even frogs. So in the process of kissing, you might be cheated, or you might get a feeling that this fish can be good, and finally to come to realize, oh no, I looked at the beauty, but I did not look at the financial status. I looked at the financial status, but I did not look at the behavior. So I took some interest in a few things, and I did not take some interest in other things that now make me understand that I am not in the right decision.
I hear you.
You understand?
I hear you.
So that is one of the reasons that one can just now say, all right, I will not do away with this marriage, I will not do away with this relationship, but what I'm going to do, I will try to look for something else. I see whether I can get the comfort that I was looking for.
I hear you.
Something else is about peer pressure. You just go to the clubs, you go partying, and you realize everybody is coming with the girlfriend, everybody is with a side chick, so why am I here alone? So you feel, even me next time, I will go with my side chick, or I will go with my, I don't know whether they are side hand, they are side cocks. I am not very sure. All right.
Okay.
These are some of the things that may make people get into infidelity, and these numbers can rise. Number 3 is because of economic status. People are struggling, they are striving, so you tend to think that if I get a second man who alongside my husband, he can maybe try and support me financially. So there are those reasonings that people are taking in this life, and finally you find yourself in infidelity, even when sometimes it was not what you purposed to do.
I hear you. So basically what you're saying is that really there could be a number of causes and you have well enumerated them.
Yes.
And you can go on and on because clearly there's quite a lot of them. Nonetheless, I want us to still stick with this particular survey. And this is again in regards to counties, because you realize Murang'a County did top the list when it came to women, and Narok County did top the list when it came to men. And this was just in a span of 12 months. So we're talking about 1 year. Again, Daktari, from your practice, is this an issue of county per county, or character is character regardless of where you go?
I don't think it's an issue of county, and I also think that sometimes a survey is done in some places, and I'm not very sure whether they did a survey in the 47 counties and it was done intensely. But now let us take this image of Murang'a County, now specifically saying that women are the ones who are at the high rise of infidelity. Now let us come and consider one thing. How is the behavior of the greatest number of men in this county? How are they behaving? Might the men have decided to relax and wait upon their women, and therefore the burden for women has become so big that the next try, let us now look for another way that we are going to get the solution to our problems. So what is the behavior? Did they do a survey of the behavior of men? When they wake up in the morning, where do they go? Or these are some of the men who just wake up in the morning, they take a cup of tea, and they don't even, some of them don't even take a cup of tea, they go to the clubs or they go to the...
Aren't you making an excuse?
I'm not making an excuse. I'm only trying to say for us to confirm that the women, it is true they are in infidelity because of choice. It is important we know the reasons why they are in infidelity. Because sometimes we can also do a research, maybe for example, about a divorce case, and we can come and say that this lady went out of marriage. Before we know or before we make a judgment about this lady who went out of the marriage, it is important we study what are the reasons that propelled this lady. You understand?
Well
so
said.
I'm not here to support any infidelity, and of course, being a clergy, I will not support, I will support one man, one wife. But it is important when we are giving a survey report, it is important we come out with some of the propelling factors or the factors that are making these people to behave like this. Let's go now to the county where men is at the rise. We also need to understand, is it that in that county, you know, there is the aspect of culture, whereby many in some people, in some places, the culture of women not going to school, all the women not working, all the women just resting and they are waiting for the men. So the men might have decided, because now these women, their work is just staying in the house, they are not helping in any way. Is it one of the reasons that has made men that they choose they need to go out? Or do we have some cultures that are forcing these people to move out? So we also need to have a reason, not only the survey, not only the numbers, but we would also want to have another survey of why exactly do we think that these men are moving out of their marriage?
Well said, well said. And of course, when you talked about another survey, this normally a survey that's normally done after every 5 years. So perhaps in the next 5 years, you might really get, as you say, you know, in-depth report in regards to maybe the reasons, so that then we don't say that Murang'a is leading with this, or Narok is leading with this, or this county, but then you get to understand perhaps why. But also when you talk about culture, it actually makes a segue for my next question, whereby again you realize that there was the aspect of, and this has been talked about largely, the aspect of education. There was also let me just get that, the aspect of education, wealthier, you know, demographic, and those living in urban centers, so that this particular sect would form the highest rate of infidelity cases. And then, so then my question would be, I mean, if you're really highly educated, you're more wealthier, then you are more knowledgeable, so then you should know better. Where do you reconcile this?
Oh, personally, I will say this, that when it comes to infidelity, as much as economic status will contribute, as much as the level of education will contribute, because of course, the more you learn it, the more exposed you become, the more you meet several people, the more you interact, the more you make your own independent decisions, because there is no one who is controlling you, especially we women who are working. Sometimes you don't need to ask your husband whether you must go out because you have your coins in the pocket, so you don't need anyone to give you any permission. But if you're not working, if you have to go for a party, then you have to tell your husband like 2 weeks ago that kindly next Saturday, but one I will be leaving.
So which one is better?
No, none is better. I don't think any is better. But what I would say is, for us to maintain our behavior, it doesn't mean whether you have money or you don't have money. It doesn't matter whether you are learned or you are not learned. I mean, this is something that is very personal. You have to sit and look at your integrity. You have to understand that with or without money, discipline is key. You You have to understand that your behavior must be controlled by what you think. You must not take advantage of what you have, not saying because I'm wealthy, then I must misbehave. Not because I have my own money, then I must misbehave. Or because I'm at home and my husband doesn't give me money, then I'm going to misbehave. I am not taking infidelity as one of the major reasons or one of the pulling forces that should make us get into infidelity. So I will say that whether you're in the culture that advocates women to go to school, or whether you are in the culture where women have gotten their own independence, then infidelity is a personal choice. And when you find yourself in it, unless a very small percentage that has been pushed to it because of maybe a financial crisis, or maybe because of the culture that we are talking about, whereby polygamy is something that is done in their culture. But then I will say that infidelity, I would just say it is a matter of personal choice.
But I'm feeling like there's a bit of a disconnect.
Yes.
And perhaps you can make me and many other understand.
Yes.
Because when you look at some of those causative agents of infidelity, finances is always one of those big reasons as to why.
Yes.
So then you're having a couple, I should say, perhaps even the woman, you are earning your own money, you are working. So clearly that then it just shows you that in this regard, assuming also the man is working, earning his own money, in this regard, finances need not to be a challenge.
Exactly.
So then if being wealthy is one of those reasons that were preferred, why are we bringing the line of finances as one of the reasons again? I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect.
All right. Why we are putting finances as one of the reasons why people get into infidelity, we are talking about there are those people, number one, who have very high expectations. Okay. Very high expectations. So you may find that this person works with maybe big companies and is just working for 1 or 2 months and has realized that everybody is getting in the gate with big machines. So at the end of it all, you want to merge even before you get the money that is needed for you to achieve what you want. So there are people who are so much over expectant and they want to achieve what they ought to achieve for 10 years. They want to achieve it with only 2 years. So what is going to happen is that you're going to look for a solution. Where do I get the 1 million that I need in a month? So it is going to push you to a person maybe who is going to buy you the car that you want to have. So what is going to happen? You are going to walk out because someone is promising you a very good car. You understand? So finances, there are those people with money and they still get into infidelity because of very high expectations and they want to make a mall in one day. Again, also those who are very low in finances, you come to realize, let me take this aspect of the irresponsible men, because we have men who are very responsible. They wake up maybe to drinking. They don't even drink. They just wake up, they are just resting, they're in the houses, they are there tuning the TV in every channel, and that is their work. And we have men who are like that. So you have 2 children, you have a house rent to pay, you have other baggages that are on your shoulders. So you tend to imagine that if I get another man, 1, I'll get consolation, number 2, I'll get peace of mind, and again also this burden of economy, I might get someone to help me. So we are not talking about finances when it is low or finances when it is high. Whether it is low or it is high, those with money and those without money can choose a financial reason to get into infidelity.
So then this does cut across.
Yes.
Just depending on how you want to look at it.
Oh, yes.
So then, Dr. Alice, I want us to make progress. And so then we look at the solution. So this has happened. Just going by the data release, I mean, the numbers, keep spiraling.
Yes.
And so then we have to get a middle ground and look for a way of better society. So for a couple that this has actually happened to them, and this could go either way, actually. What is the first step? Where do you start from?
All right. The first thing for you to resolve infidelity, and there's one thing that I want to put across, especially for those people who are in dating now, those who have not even yet gotten into marriage. There's one thing I want you to understand is that you're dating a grown-up. You're dating a person who is an adult. And adults are made of choices. And there are people who say, like now there are people getting into marriage and they are saying, I'm getting into marriage, get my 2 children, because I don't want my parents to be saying I got my children outside wedlock. And they said, I might stay in marriage for like 10 years and later I will walk out. There are people who get into marriage with
an exit strategy.
Exactly. They already know that I'm only here for children, and that is why I'm dating this particular person, because I want children of this particular person.
So wait a minute.
Yes.
So then this simply means, even as you talk about infidelity, It's not just the aspect of something happened in between.
No.
There could be other reasons as to why you actually got into marriage, that at some point, I'm just planning that I'm going to leave.
Oh, yes.
Because I got what I wanted.
Oh, yes. There are people who get into marriage.
So this is why these numbers would keep going up.
That is why the numbers will keep going up. Because there are people who get into marriage with their own reasons, not even to stay and make the marriage. Now, I want to tell those people who are dating is that because you are dating a grown-up, you need to understand that a grown-up is a person made of choices. So a person can change in the process. In the dating or in marriage, this person can change. And whatever that you hear happening in other people's homes, don't just think that in your home it cannot happen. So I personally don't like hearing people say that my man is so faithful, I know he cannot cheat. My wife is so good, I don't think they can cheat. This is a statement that many of us use, and maybe it's a comforting statement. But one thing that I want to say is that anyone can change as long as they make decisions, including me in a collar. This collar is kept. I was not born with this. It was in my life that I got this. So I can also make a choice, and I can go to that. You understand? So when we are getting into marriage or into relationships, point number one is that we need to be set. We need to understand that there are changes that can happen in life. This one will help you so that when some of these things happen, it doesn't depress you so much. Yes, it will stress you because you don't get into marriage imagining that your wife can be caught with another man. You don't get into marriage imagining that your husband can go lying with other women. But one thing I want to say is because adults are made of choices, that there is one thing that we need to understand, that choices can change. Number two, when such a thing happens, is it a rumor? Because many of us keep fighting, we keep on running, but it can be a rumor. Someone just told you, oh, I saw your man, and the way they were close with this lady, I tend to imagine there is something else that they were discussing. This is not all about business. So whatever you are talking about your man or your wife, is it a rumor or it is something that you've confirmed? A message on phone of hi dear is not an important information to tell you that your man is moving out. Because this name dear, darling, I mean, it has become now a very common name. When I said to you this morning is, hi darling, good morning. I mean, that doesn't mean we are dating. So this is not one of the reasons that you are going to hit your man or your wife because you just saw a message that hi dear and he responded hi darling. So that it may be a way, it may be a leeway to whatever that you are suspecting, but it may not be that this is a confirmation that my man or my woman is going out.
I hear you.
So we don't want to work on rumors. Kindly confirm your information. It's like the survey that you've just given us. It was not something, it is something that has been done for a whole year because they really wanted to give us at least numbers that are next to the truth. So even as when we are doing our own research of what we've heard about our marriages, then it is important that we do also our own survey, do your own research. Number three, that we need to understand if we have to resolve this issue of infidelity. Are you ready to talk about it? Because sometimes you may come and you really want to go to the counselor. You want to tell the counselor, I'm suspecting my man is moving out and this is the fault of the woman or this is the fault of the man that my wife is moving about with. But have you discussed it with him? Does he know you have such speculations? Does he know that you have such insinuation that you feel, no, this is not right? You understand? Because communication in marriages or in relationships is becoming a key problem. People don't want to disclose. You know, someone will say, sasa nikimuuliza, see it will bring a lot of problems. You understand? So you try to die in the inside, but there is something that you are almost sure of, but you don't want to communicate. When I tell him, he might fail to pay school fees. So let me wait until he pays the school fees, then I'll ask when the children go back to school. Now you see, you are now, it's like a wood. When a wood is fresh, it is very easily treatable. But when you let the wood stay for a long time, it will get a covering in the process of healing. And when you go to the doctor, it will be very painful to scrub the top before it is treated.
All right. I mean, really, just from what you're saying, you've opened up my mind to ask a raft of questions, and clearly there's a lot we could have discussed and talked about in regards to this topic. You realize very pertinent issues being brought to the fore. But we're really strapped for time, Dr. And we have just about 3 minutes to exit this space. And I wouldn't want us to do that without talking about the issue of forgiveness. Just very quickly, how do you move about forgiving.
All right. Now, I will just say about those two ones, forgiveness and letting go. Forgiveness is a process. Okay. It is not something that you just wake up in the morning and say, I forgive you. But letting go is something that now you understand it has already happened. Let me live with it without causing pain. But forgiveness is not something that it will be preached today and you take it. Yeah. So I want to tell people, please, don't go to these couples who have gone through this and you tell them, kindly forgive. Forgiving is not something that you expect to be done today and tomorrow. It is something that has a lot that is needed.
I will even say, just forgive and move on.
And just forgive and move on, like nothing happened. Yeah. Or just forgive and forget. There are some things that it is difficult to forgive. But one thing I want to say is, if such a thing happens and the spouse promises never to repeat it again, it is always important to give a second chance. But I always say this as a counselor, that giving a second chance, is it something that you are seeing it will bear fruits? Or is it it has become everyday routine? You ask him, why are you moving out? Oh, sorry, it was the devil, you know. Oh, sorry, I did not even understand.
And sometimes we have tendency of bringing the devil in places
very
where they're not.
It's just saying like when you are warming milk and you obviously know when milk is boiling, it will spill over. Then you start saying it is the devil. I mean, there is no devil there. You knew the milk will spill over. Yes. So let it not be something that is being used for the first day, for the second day, for the third day. Don't allow anyone to take interest of you. If someone cannot change, another solution can be found. Oh yes.
How do you track then? How do you track that? Because I mean, this is part of, you know, that forgiveness aspect. If someone cannot change, how do you track this between that point that you've actually found out, you're perhaps looking into reconciliation, as you've said, because again, people are different. Now the response to issues is different. How do you track that very quickly?
Now, the first thing is, you understand, when you want to resolve a problem, the first thing is you resolve it, the two of you. If it cannot be resolved between the two of you, you involve a third party. If it cannot be resolved with the third party, you involve both the parents, for those of us who are married. Now, if the parents don't make it, then the law is there. So let us not just say, oh, these ones are in the church, they married in the church, why are they going to court? No.
And how will the church see it?
Court is also another way of resolving conflicts.
And it just says something that sometimes there's that tendency of someone saying, so then how will the church see it? Watani beba VP? Then you realize this actually is between you and the, you know.
Exactly. It is just like for us who with this and for counselors, nobody expects that in the pastor's home or in the counselor's home there can be a problem. But let me tell you, a counselor can divorce, a pastor can divorce, depending with the circumstances. So let us not say that anyone is perfect in this. No one is born with a body that doesn't feel pain. Oh yes.
Well said. I mean, just like I said earlier, there's really quite a lot we could have discussed in respect to infidelity in marriage, bring from what the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics also did release and how to navigate that. But because you're strapped for time, Dr. you have to cap it at this particular point. Nonetheless, we appreciate and value your insights and contribution into this topic. Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
I have been speaking to Pastor Dr. Alice Namu, who is a marriage counselor. Of course, what has formed center stage on our family check conversation today is just looking at infidelity in marriage, and this borrowing from what the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics released in respect to that Kenya Demographic Health Survey that also did touch on these issues of infidelity. Good place to end this conversation, and ultimately good morning Kenya from me and on behalf of the entire team. Asante sana. Till tomorrow, good morning.
Maisha ni mafupi, hivyo si vyema kumaliza muda mwingi katika malumbano. Hesabu baraka zako, wathamini rafiki zako na tabasamu ili udumishe amani.
Kupata maisha, bonyeza *811 *816 #. *811 *816 #.